much. Thank you very much for the organizer of this wonderful meeting. And I'm very happy to be here and to give me the opportunity. I will talk today about our experience as a makerspace converted in FabLab. And I will try to emphasize much more the importance of community around us. We are around 150 persons, and we spoke about the how we do it, what we have, and how we get it. So let's start. I am from the University of Extremadura in Spain. Our lab is called Smart Open Lab. I am professor of electronics at School of Technology in Cáceres. So let's start. This is a brief overview. I will take where we are, where we're from, who we are, the spaces and machinery we have now, financing and sustainability, internal normative, day-to-day life, interesting project now, and some conclusions. I hope to be a bit fast because I want to tell a lot of things. So I will take many things and feel free to ask me any question now or after, whatever you want. So we are in Spain, the west of Spain. It is our autonomous region is called Extremadura. It is in the west, in the center, and it is a bit isolated. We don't have airport, we don't have good trains, we have roads. We are far away from Madrid, around 300 kilometers, and we are a bit poor compared with the rest of the region of Spain. The unemployment is high in our region, and we don't have many large companies inside. So we can be an example for other regions, I think. We are in Extremadura, in Cáceres, in the center, inside of the city. We are outside of the city, in the university campus. We are inside the School of Technology, inside the telecommunication building. In the Polytechnic School, we have degrees of telecommunication, informatics, civil engineering, and construction. So it is a mixture between bits and bricks. We are from 214. We started a small makerspace with some professors, a few of Arduinos, 2 3D printers, and the important thing was that a student came soon. We had 80 students inside the lab. It was crazy. In this photo you can see the small lab that we have. It is a Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon, students in the school is really strange to have a student in the school on Friday afternoon. You see, it's important for us the sociability. So we have the beer and pizza diet. So it is important to meet with the people in an informal place. We reuse everything we can. We have not buy any furniture. All the furniture you will see, it is recycled. It is you see in the trash. No, it is ours. You see a bench. The student doesn't have chair. It is a bench from the hall. Yes. And from the beginning, one person, one vote, and there is a small quote per year, 10 euros per year. But it was enough to buy our first toolbox in the Chinese. We go to the Chinese, we have our own economy and budget as a collective. It is important because for a private collective, it's quite more easy to buy things than for university. So we started with support of several departments and the Students' Council of the University of Extremadura. It's important. In 2016, we constituted a non-profit cultural association inside the university. University didn't have many interest on formalizing our form of quite a strange form of behavior. So thanks to the Student Council, we get 2 rooms, these rooms, and this little workshop just inside the same room. And we could obtain much machines. You can see here our first laser cutter. It was a small laser cutter, but it was do-it-yourself. It has only, I don't know, 3 watts or something. It can only cut paper or very thin films. You see here our RFID door locker. It's very important for us to be accessible. And with a RFID lock, every associate can have his own card and enter whenever he wants. And we know who enters the last and when enters is important. Because with a physical key, it is crazy. You think we were around 100 people in this time. First, support from professional collectives, the College of Informatics in Extremadura, the College of Telecommunication Engineers in Extremadura. They give us small support, but in this moment, it was important. And we start with first contract with company done inside the lab. So we have resources to develop some contracts with companies. Not too large contract, but important at the beginning. Thanks to the community, we were 100 people and we were using well the space. So we pushed the university to match a contract with the Junta of Extremadura to get some money. We get money from European funds, and it was devoted to do a first lab network, not Fab Lab network, but lab network in Extremadura, inside 3 schools of engineering in Cáceres, Mérida, and Badajoz, and inside medical minimal invasive surgery center in Cáceres. They have a laboratory for biomedicine and bioprinting. They are medical, they are quite closed, so they are not a Fab Lab, but they have the tools of a Fab Lab. It was a quite challenging contract because we have 120 different components to deploy in the places, and some components were large, heavy, dangerous, so where to put them? We need some new spaces, but we have the machines and we have the community, so we could do the pressure for the university to adapt some space. Minimal adaptation necessary to put the machine inside with electricity, water, walls, and not much more. So it was our first lab. You see in the previous photograph, that is our new lab. We have around 400 square meters, which is quite nice, divided in 10 spaces. But these spaces were hostiles. They were not good at the beginning. You see the preparation of the spaces. There was not even a bathroom. We had to build a bathroom. We are underground. We are in the underground of the building, which was not used for nothing, only for storage and for the analog archive of the school. Who mount Dasal? The community. Who teach us how to use Dasal? The community. Inside the community, there are professionals working in companies who use CNC machine, who use laser. So they teach us because they are part of the community. It was great. I have not said in Cáceres we teach telecommunication degree specialized in sound and image. So sound and image has always been an important point for us. So we have a recording studio, and you will see, and you can see here, 2 music producers and 1 singer learning how to use the machines. So who we are, who is inside the community. At first, we were only students and professors for ICTs. Next, we opened it to society. And now you can see that, well, there are artists, professional teachers, students. If you want to start a good bonfire, you have to do it mature trunk, but you need young branches at the beginning. So young people is very important, especially at the beginning. Now the average age has increased by around 15 years. 150 associates today, 23% of women, which is increasing. It is not so bad. You see the numbers here. We have 30% of students, professors, employed workers, liberal professionals, retirees. Retirees are very, very important. They have experience, and they can share, and they have time to share. They are very important. There are teenagers, unemployed, migrant, handicapped people. There are a lot of different profiles. You see here Mario, Juanjo, Mori, Conde, Luis Rosado. Luis Rosado, he's a retired police, local police, and he's a visual artist now, and he works very well with metals. He's impressive. Luis is a wonderful person. Yes. And his wife, Lucia, also. Yes. Around us, there are a few companies or collectives. They are very different from 3D printers companies, from artists, from Rapid Doors. Is a company who builds doors, many, many doors. So all the offcuts, all the materials, they are trash for us, are treasure for us. So every year we rent a van, we go to Rapid Door, and we get all the materials they can give us. It's important, this kind of collaborations. La Guinda is a pastry, WordPress is a community inside Extremadura. It's very important to have a good web. Yes. Verse Consulting is a 4.0 industry consulting company, so it is great. They are economists, they are well. FabLab Extremadura in El Mendrelejo, they are our brothers. They started the movement in Extremadura with us. We are very, very close. Bessier Custom Guitar is Sergio Lopez. He is specialized in CNC. He's an engineer, and he works with CNC like anyone do between us. Dando la Lata is Chencho. He works with aluminium, recycled aluminium, and he does sculptures with aluminium. He works very well with metals. Iruki Store is a workshop who do Montessori type furniture. He do furniture with wood, very beautiful for kids, very friendly. Yes. El Duende de la Tinaja, it is pottery. Hutchinson and Meimo, they are large companies in Cáceres. They are devoted to plastic pieces for automotions. They are in Cáceres from the 90s. It is a large company, and they have many, many experience with CNC machines, with plastic injection, with molding. It is important. We collaborate with them during the COVID crisis, and we did, I don't know, 20,000 face shields with them. Extremadura Digital Day and Cáceres Abierto, these are associations devoted to organize one event per year. It's important for us to collaborate with this. Cáceres Abierto is a contemporary artistic performance, so you can guess the crazy things they do, and we help them to do them. Espacio para la Creación Joven, Diputación and Cáceres, there are institutions. RAM Sculpture, it is Raquel, it is a woman doing sculptures. It's very beautiful. TAZ 3D, they are architects scanning monuments and buildings. Mari Mira, she's a woman doing textiles from recycled materials. He's starting an enterprise now. And Circular Fab is a new initiative of the Diputación of Cáceres, who is building small labs in the province of Cáceres. So they are more or less the collective around us, organized collective. Okay. Spaces and machinery.
Grabando.
This is an example on how we do it. We rent a van once or twice a year, and every time we rent the van, we have many profits of the van. We obtain furniture, things, a lot of things from trash, basically trash. It is a company who is closing and who sell us for few money many materials. Always is Christmas as all. I open the door and I used to see something new. What is this? Who, who bring that? How do we get things from our money? You know, we are 150 people and we can bill for works. So we have returns of money. From public support, we have support from the Junta of Extremadura since 2018. From donation, many associates now see the lab as their own workshop. They go to work to the lab. No, it is better than your workshop. It is my dream workshop. I could never have it in my home. Yes. Reparation, we recover things from trash and repair them if needed. Sometimes things are on the trash and they are, well, it is sad. And obsolescence, are you sure it is obsolete? Do you really need Ultra HD or Ultra HD? It is not enough with HD. So please take the HD for us. So, or IoT things, the batteries is broken usually, but you can buy batteries and repair them. Yeah. It is useful for us. What we have now, you know, we are 150 people organized in several spaces. And we defined some years ago different groups of interest: electronics, 3D, textiles, painting, garage lab, with this traditional lab. And now, in the future, we will surely do a chemistry lab and a food lab. We have some material for this now. So let's do a small tour. Electronic labs, this is the first rooms you saw. This is electronics, a lot of electronics for programming, for meeting, and it is a small workshop in the left for soft 3D lab. We have FDM 3D printers, SLA 3D printers. We have a hot wire CNC machine, which is quite useful, and we have a small workshop inside. It is small. Every associate can enter in this room. It is open to all the associates. I say to kids, take care. There are things that can burn you, can beat you, can touch you, but they don't kill you. In the other rooms, there are things that can kill you. So it is not so dangerous. Let's go underground. Underground, below the telecommunication building, we have an entrance, we have a kitchen and a bathroom. The kitchen is important, very important. We have a freezer, we have a coffee machine, we have an oven. It's important for community. We can do barbecues anytime we want. So it's important for know each other. We have a hard 3D lab. It is a room before another room which contains the CNC router and the laser cutter. They are industrial, they are large, they are dangerous. Yes. They are very used, our laser machine. It is supposed to last the laser 2,000 works. Our laser is now for 5,000 works. It is still working. Next to this room, in this door, you can enter to a small storage zone. It is very important to have a storage. Here we can put all the offcuts of the works. You know, when you cut something, there is always material extra. So we storage them and we use it to teach with this material. And the message to new associates is, don't buy any material. Please use this material. We need a space. Use this material. So you don't have to buy anything at first. We have tons of materials. If you have learned and you want to do a beautiful furniture, then buy beautiful wood. But if you don't know, don't buy beautiful wood. And don't start with beautiful wood. Never. We have a recording studio, a very wonderful recording studio. It has 2 rooms, 1 room for musicians, 1 room for control. It is the most difficult to deploy rooms. They are well defined, well measured. You have to measure the acoustic of the room, and you have to correct the acoustic of the room. We have done all the correction of the acoustic with absorbent of sound and diffusers of sounds. You see this table, this desk is very important. It is the desk where you put the mixing table and all the controllers around. This desk, we did it ourselves without any digital machine. It was important to build it before the machines arrive. So in this photo you see, I don't know if you get it. The desk. This was 5 years ago around. We built this deck, and this deck is wonderful because we tried to buy this deck, but it cost around 3,000 euros. We didn't have 3,000 euros for the desk, so we built the desk for, I don't know, 300 euros or 40 materials. So probably the recording studio has the most difficult to use equipment in the labs. It is not easy to use this material because there are tens of cables running through room. It is difficult. You have to take courses of at least 2 or 3 days to be able to record, to not broke anything. You don't have to disconnect anything which is connected. You just have to plug your instrument in the correct place and use the software to record. It is impressive. We have recorders on disk. It is quite used, this space. You see here the donations. I don't know how many guitars we have. We have a battery. I don't know. It is also a donation. The battery, almost everything is donated or done by ourselves. I play guitar. I have been for 20 years doing my own amps, pedals, and these things. So we have good equipment. Above the recording studio, there is a room for textiles. We have sewing machines. We have a vinyl cutter. We have a sublimation printer. We have a 3D printers. We have thermic irons. Many things. It is for textiles or for classrooms. It is a good aula, and we can deliver courses on weekends because we are open 24/7, and we can deliver courses on weekend when the university is closed. There is the garage lab, only for people with training. Please use PPEs. Please protect yourself. There are machines that can cut you. It is a full analog laboratory workshop. So you see here a milling machine, analog milling machine, a thicknesser machine for wood, a bending machine for tubes. There is a lathe. There are here 3 metal soldiers, electrical metal soldiers. So it is dangerous, but very useful. It is probably one of the most used rooms because, from my point of view, the machines give the digital machines give you the basic form, but you have to give the finish of the form, and you need your hands or you need another tools to finish the form. You have to paint it. You have to lijarlo, so sand it. Yes. So it is important to have a place which can be dirty. It is dirty. You see here some tables which are mobiles. If you have to do much dirt, take the table outside and make the dirt outside. We have done this table, this table, this table. This is all done by us. Here, it is a new project. It is a hydroponic system for growing plants. I don't know if it will work. It is a project of Juan. It is a retiree who is trying to do crazy thing with plants. I don't know if it will work. Pine Lab and the Tunnel of Hell. It is very important for us. The Tunnel of Hell is a tunnel below the building, which covers all the building, but it is full of concrete. It is full of dust. It is really hostile. Every time I go inside, I push my head with, with something. Yes. But it is the perfect storage room. And it is perfect for painting. We have a window. So we did the walls around the window to have a good painting room. We have air extraction here. The dirty air goes away, and you can paint here well with compressed air. You see here, this is a compressor. It is a large compressor with give compressed air to this room, this machine, and to the other rooms. We took the compressed air to the rooms of the laser machine and the CNC. Compressed air is very useful. We did the installation in all the rooms. There is wood, there are bicycles, there are lots of material. This is materials from the door company, from Rapid Doors. They are polycarbonate, they are expensive material. This is off goods for them. For us, it is a treasure. Yes. So it's important to have, well, at the end of the tunnel of hell, there is a door which gives you to the cave of hell. It is a cave. It's impressive. We are continuously improving this space because this is a very good space. At the beginning of the tunnel, we will have a really dirty room to do large work, and at the end, we will have the storage. But now we are putting the lights. There are not even good lights. So we are doing the electrical installation and so on. You see, only people with training. In the first room I showed you, every associate can enter. In the rest of the room, only can enter those who knows, those who are trained. How do we finance? We are a good economical situation, around 20,000 euros per year. We obtain money from quotes from associates, from dissemination events, which can pay some few materials, from public financing of regional labs through the university. We are subcontracted to do the real work, to do the real impact, to do the courses, to do the events, to do the projects. Development to research groups of private companies. It is also an important fund of financiation. Inside the association, in ES project, those who work are paid, nor the others. No? Sol builds, Sol calls Smart Open Lab. It is a beautiful acronym. Smart Open Lab is traduced by Sol. Sol builds and manages the money. It is in a group conscience what amount is left for Sol. Okay. Every group decides what amount is left in the account of Sol. We try, and I think we do not do unfair competence to companies, because these companies are inside us. If anyone wants to print something in 3D, I don't print it. I send it to Andres, who has a company who lives of this, because it is unfair competence. We are inside university. It is free for us, the place, and not for Andres. We prefer to give formation to companies and increase the community. You want to do this in your company? Please send someone of your company. We show him how to do it, and he can do it. It is free. He joins the community and do it. If you don't want to formate yourself, go to a company. What is the internal normative? Statutes, clear accounts, long friendships. Repeat, clear accounts, long friendships. Please don't do dirty things with money. For the use of machinery and spaces, some years ago, we have a normative which basically said only those who are trained can use the machines. If you demonstrate that you are trained or you receive a course, then you can use the machines. We promote the leadership and we trust in the other. There are three types of group. I say group of telegrams. We use Telegram a lot. There are management groups, which means a whole group of associated, a group of materials. This is the group where we speak of money, of the things we need and we buy. A group of communication for the web, for social media, a group of events, we organize a lot of events, a group of regulation, which is not used since 2 or 3 years ago, fortunately, a group of the directive of the association, and a group called the Jedi's Council, where there are professors, all the directive we have. It is quite a assessment group for important points. There are a group of interest, as I told you, and there are a group of projects. Every project forms a group. You want to do a project? Please make a group and call the people to join if they're interested. Okay. It's essential, the continuity of free course, collaborative, motivating projects, and events. Our day-to-day life is important. We are in the university and we have some advantage for being in the university. It is a rich intellectual environment. We have 10 resources and it is bidirectional. We don't have to pay for spaces. We have never contracted any person for maintaining machines. Who do it? The community. What is in play? Individual, your responsibility to get the things better every day. This means every day something is missed or not clean or they're not prepared. It's the price of sharing. It will always be less order than your home, because this is not your home. It is a shared home. We are not only a school of technology, but also for civism, to teach people how to share things. What do you have to do to use your space? Associate, first thing, associate. This is 25 per year, euros for workers and 15 euros per year for students, so it is symbolic. Demonstrate capacity to use the machine. If not, wait for the next training and start slowly. We will not do your project. You have to do your project. We can help you in the crisis. As my PhD advisor said, every research project is a succession of crises. So you have to cope with the crisis. Contribute to the community, document and share your projects, participate in the groups, participate in the events, participate in improving the spaces. There are always things to improve. Now that's almost for finish. The most interesting projects. If you have interest in some of them, we can speak later. We have a lots of projects. I have just picked the most interesting for me. But there are many projects. Haptic health for blind people, photogrammetry for fossils. It is beautiful. It is very beautiful to can document fossils and show to the people a huge fossil. Open wheelchair, IoT application, a lot. Live feed positioning for museums with light indoor positioning. Sensorizing souls, they are quite impressive. Tube amp workbench, we do amplifiers of tube, vacuum tube, but it is a workbench to design amplifiers. Sound system, this weekend, it is the first concert of a huge sound system built in the Smart Open Lab. It is around 4 meters tall. You can guess how it will sound. It is only a sub-bass. It has 2 sub-bass, 2 bass, 2 medium, and 2 tweeter. Crazy. Another radio studio. We have a caravan. We are preparing the caravan. It will be nice for the next summer. I restore a lot of bikes. I love bikes. We are doing compost inside the university. It's also very interesting to reuse the trash from the restaurant of the university to get fertilizer. We do some artificials with International Amnesty. This is a work in progress with refugees of Ukraine. And it is a wonderful statue built by Luis Rosado using triangles from the trash, from the oxidated triangles. She has thousands from the trash, and they are soldered there. This is a whole man with a snake in his hand. the sculpture has no name. Everyone have to imagine what it is, what this means. An empty man with a snake. Beautiful. He donated it to the School of Technology, and it is in a square in the school. And just to conclude, we started 6 years ago a journey which clearly was reinforced by the idea of Fab Lab. So many thanks to all of you for the community of Fab Labs. With the force of community, we obtained a wonderful place to learn and to develop. We have delivered around 150 free courses and 30 events, reaching 10,000 people. We have reached sustainability. Some important clues: be friendly and accessible. Detect and avoid as soon as possible selfishness, even your own selfishness. Everyone can teach you many things, even bad ones, and you have to know what not to do. And looking for perfection, you ignore godness. Rome was not built in one day. Be patient, step by step. Next step, strengthen our position as a meeting place for creatives and ideas, more diffusion. Not only help existing companies, but also encourage the formation of new companies, more consultancy. Participation in new form of economy, and more environmentally friendly, more awareness, and participate more on the global community, more fast fest like this one. So we started, and we are local, but we try to think global. So this is why I'm here. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Antonio. And we came from Spain talking about communities and how they all enrich themselves. And now we're going to move a little bit closer, and we're going to come to Indonesia, basically. We're going to come to Indonesia to see what the Indonesian community is doing and how to integrate Fab Labs with industry. So I will welcome to the stage. Lumiani, and she's going to present us fabrication laboratories in Industry 4.0 development at industrial areas. This is Fab Lab Jababeka here in Indonesia. So it will be a wonderful experience to understand how the Industry 4.0 and Fab Labs are working together in order to create synergies. So welcome to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Mita from Fab Lab Jababeka, which is Fab Lab Jababeka is a fabrication laboratory for Industry 4.0 development at industrial area. So we are from Indonesia, and we are only new. We only have a grand launching on 8 September, so we're still new in this era. And then we have a tagline, three tagline, like create, innovate, and collaborate. Okay, so before I talk about our Fab Lab, let me share you about our location that we are located at Cikarang, Bekasi, which is 1 hour from Jakarta and probably 2 hours from Soekarno-Hatta. And then we're located specifically at Jakarta Eastern Corridor, which is actually a toll road that connected Jakarta with other cities. Like there are Bekasi, Karawang, and in this area, there are more than 10 industrial estates located in Jakarta Eastern Corridor, and one of them is Jababeka, and Jababeka is the largest industrial estate in that area. We are having 5,600 hectares and also 2,000 tenants from 30 countries, and the population itself is a 1.2 million population in Jababeka itself. So it's already creating city inside the Jababeka. There are industries, there are people who work there, and then also there are residential and a university. So I will show you the video of our our location at Jababeka, and it will be a background story why our Fab Lab is actually more specifically into Industry 4.0 development. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Where once nobody could see its potential, now after 31 years, Jababeka has succeeded in developing a comprehensive one-stop industrial development solution for all types of enterprises. Today, it has become one of the most important economic zones of Indonesia. Jababeka constitutes a massive 35% of total national export volume, creating employment opportunities for around 700,000 local residents and 10,000 expatriates who live in the city. Jababeka Industrial Estate is trusted by more than 2,000 national and multinational companies from 30 countries around the globe. It is one of the most advanced industrial zones, with state-of-the-art facilities and all the essentials that make industrial business possible. It has a very efficient access and transportation infrastructure that includes 4 exit and 4 access tolls, highlighting the transit-oriented development. Jababeka Industrial Estate is equipped with Industry 4.0 facilities and tools. It has fiber optics and telecommunication networks that boost the performance of the whole industrial estate. The licensing and administration process is also made convenient with one-stop digital services like our mobile app, G-Smart. Designed as an environment-friendly industrial area, it has proper waste treatment facilities that help us conserve the environment and water treatment facilities that ensure a reliable and regular clean water supply for industrial needs, helping us avoid the need for exploiting natural water resources. Independent power plants in the Jababeka Industrial Estate guarantee the availability of continuous electricity supply. Jababeka Industrial Estate is proud of building the nation's first dry port, the Cikarang Dry Port, which has all the logistical facilities required for the complex import-export processes. Jababeka Industrial Estate is extremely secure. It has 24-hour security patrols, a fire brigade department and regional police, and army offices located within the premise of the estate. We always strive for both business and individual development. The prestigious President University and Information Communication Technology are the symbols of human development. They add value by providing qualified human resources needed for the industrial world in the Jababeka Industrial Estate. Jababeka Industrial Estate provides an ideal atmosphere and working environment for a modern industrial community that consists of commercial and retail centers, hotel, residential, healthcare facilities, and various sports facilities such as golf, swimming pools, eco-parks, etc. All of these facilities ensure the smooth running of business. Jababeka Industrial Estate, the largest and smartest industrial estate in Southeast Asia.
Okay, so I'm in here not promoting our Jababeka, our industrial estate Jababeka, but I hope that this give information to all of you that why is our Fab Lab is focusing more into industries, because here is as a home of 2,000 tenant industries from 30 countries, and then Jababeka itself right now we are developing a Corexio as the new Silicon Valley Indonesia. Why? Why we have to be a new Silicon Valley? Because as you know that we have a same characteristic. There's also there's university in there, President University, and also there are many tenant around Jababeka. There's a Mattel, Unilever, Samsung, and etc. as an anchor, our anchor tenant. So, and we wanted to create the startup ecosystem in Jababeka, not only for software but hardware. Why? Because based on our data, that less than 1% of our industries is actually do digitalization. So there are so many possibility, and then of us to help creating the ecosystem of the startup, and then much more industry in here is using technology imported from the outside. So we wanted to create the ecosystem that they don't have to imported things to do digitalization, but they only get the resources around them at JBBK or other location. And this is currently what we do about creating JBBK Silicon Valley, as we name it Corexio. And we already have 60 hectares for our development. And there are, for the implementation, we also smart city implementation, such as energy saving with district cooling system, and then renewable energy, green environment, and juga and smart secure. Okay, and then this is our Fab Lab. That Fab Lab JBBK is as an embryo of Corexio, our JBBK Silicon Valley ecosystem, and also Industry 4.0 Development Center in JBBK. So we are acting as a facilitator to help implementation Industry 4.0 solution in the JBBK Industrial Estate, and we wanted to create the Pentahelix collaboration between government, academic, and then industries, startups, and media. And also we have several values such as showcase, delivery, engineering AI, capability, and ecosystem. Why we are having this value? Because we also announced as a satellite of PD by Ministry of Industry Indonesia. And currently, we are having several strategic partners. We are already collaborating with government, and then also with some of company like Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, Semscorp, and also from the Indonesia company to help us to promoting regarding the Industry 4.0. And this is the roadmap of Fab Lab JBBK. We actually only on 2020 during pandemic, we are collaborating with JBBK, with President University to create Fab Lab. So Fab Lab JBBK is not only based on the industrial company, but we also collaborating with President University to create the facility regarding Industry 4.0 development. And during on 2021, we are doing a soft opening at Fab Lab JBBK, but at the time, the location is smaller and the facility is still minimum, like, and we still find the best way, the best shape, what is our Fab Lab way. And then we are still finding the right partnership for our Fab Lab. And then on September, we are doing grand opening, and at the same time, we are nominated as the satellite of PD 4.0. This is the Center of Industry Digitalization Innovation from Ministry of Industry, Indonesia. And this is our facility of Fab Lab right now. We are currently located inside the university at the President University. And we hope this is as an integrative creative hub. Right now we are having facility is like, this is the Industry 4.0 Technology Showcase, which some of our partnership display the product at our facility. So the tenant industry who wanted to know more about what is the newest technology of the Industry 4.0, they could visit us anytime, and then they ask to us what is the best possibility solution for them. And also we have a fabrication area with an equipment like 3D printer, CNC, 3D scanner, and etc. to support to creating prototyping. And we because we also wanted to create the startup ecosystem, we have a facility like a community and co-working space, and monitoring room and training room. And this is what we are focused on, the Fab Lab JBBK. We have three. The first is industry, because we know like we will get the most revenue from it. So we have a partnership with several companies. We are doing some partners like a marketing partner with them, and then we are helping them to meet the industry who need the solution. This is one of our goals. And then the second is community, like how we engage and how we create community at the Fab Lab JBBK as an integrated creative hub. So this is what we really doing right now. Like we are creating like Fab Lab JBBK is as a facility for innovator to creating something. And then the last is startup, because this is the embryo of a Corexio to create startup ecosystem. And we find potential startup for from hackathon and then from university incubator and other activities we are creating in here. And this is the role of Fab Lab JBBK to accelerate tenant industries to implement Industry 4.0 transformation. Before I say it, like we are inviting solution partner to display their product here, and then they also give us regarding about the product knowledge, what is the product is, and then how the product works, and then the industries who come into us, they will tell us about their pain point, and we as Fab Lab will be connecting the industry who need the solution and company who have the solution for it. So we are working as a business matching, and we are doing it because we wanted to help our industries regarding the accelerating the Industry 4.0 in their company. And this is one of our partner right now. There are AUK Industries and Arcsonics actually from Singapore. There are Telkomsel is the biggest telecommunication company in Indonesia, and we also collaborate with a startup. They such as Run System right now. They are from Indonesia and they have ERP system to help industries. And also we are focusing into sustainability, which we are collaborating with Semcorps. And for us, Fab Lab JBBK, how we creating startup ecosystem. Right now, we are having this event we called Fab Creation 2022 as a coaching and mentoring for digital fabrication startup. So as I told you guys before that, less than 1% of the industries is do digitalization. And why? Because first, they don't know how start for do the digitalization, and the two is like it's expensive. So that's why with this event we wanted to help the industries to find the best solution for them. So for the theme of this event is Fab Creation is actually like hackathon, and the idea of this is regarding about the future of manufacturing in Indonesia. And this is based on the pain point. We had asked to our tenants, like, what is their pain point? Like, and then we are connected to the potential startup from around Indonesia. Like, the participants could propose us the ideas based on the key challenge we are giving to them, such as there are 6 industrial IoT, and then robotics and drones, machine learning, maintenance and service technologies, cybersecurity, and additive manufacturing. But we already give them that based on our survey to our industry, what is that they really need, because the majority of our tenant industries in Indonesia in JBBK is actually 16% is SME. So that's why they don't know how to start with it, and because they think that doing digitalization, therefore, or automation is expensive. So, but they really wanted to know, like, how is the market is like. They need the platform for looking at the market inside the JBBK, such as if they need the plastic material, they don't have to import it from other countries, but if they having some platform that give them information about the market inside in JBBK or other industrial estate that produce the same plastic, they only have to buy them right to the tenant, the other tenants in JBBK or others industrial estate, so they don't have to import it anymore. And this is what they want. They really need regarding the the platform, and they also need about how to reduce the manufacturing costs. Like they need a system who could monitoring them, and then the system who help to track them. How is the energy cost for during production time? So this is what the theme about our hackathon, Fab Creation 22, and then for the startup that will be selected, like a 5 until 10 startup, will have an incubator program at our facility at FabLab GBBK. And this is what we already done. So we are visited to 5 cities, 10 campus, and then more than 1,000 participants. So why we are targeting to the university? Because inside the university there are so many startup potential, even based on their research or even their final research is they already creating the product who actually can be finalist as a startup. So we have been to the 5 city, to the university, polytechnic, and institute of technology to find the best startup, the best solution for helping our industries. And then, but right now we're still having we're still doing proposal submitted by participant, and the deadline is on October, so we still can give you guys like the result of this event. And we wanted FabLab GBBK as innovation center. So this is the manufacturer, the equipment we had. Right now we are still on additive manufacturing, such as 3D printer and then CNC and 3D scanner, because we still getting know what actually Indonesia's market, right? For the innovation itself, like we still have to find the data, like what they really need, what they really wanted to do with FabLab. Because I think there's so many people in Indonesia still don't know about FabLab, about fabrication laboratory. It's still, I think this is kind of the new information for them, because I've been to several campus and then I asked them, like, do you know guys about FabLab? And sadly, mostly they say like they don't know what is FabLab is. And this is what we do as FabLab GBBK to give more information to them about our facility, FabLab as a home for innovator, to create something like what we did in a FabLab GBBK. We only have right now we're only have a several project because we are new, maybe 1 year old. And then there's a prototyping water treatment plant, which one of my team is presented yesterday. And then we also have a booth at MakerFest to displaying about our project prototype water treatment plant. And also this is a prototype of conveyor. And this is our makers prototype products, which you guys can look in at our YouTube video. The subscribes is still small, but we already post some of the video our makers, like we are trying to creating digital kiosk, and then making chairs, the symbol, or how we use the 3D printer. So what we really wanted to give information to the Indonesian people is like how you guys can maximize the equipment that we had at FabLab, like a 3D printer, 3D scanner, CNC, and etc. And also there are the product, water treatment plant and traffic light microcontroller is actually the R&D of our company. Okay, and this is our activity, another activity like FabLab GBBK regarding the capability, because we wanted to develop the human resource of the people around us. It's not only the machine that's smarter, but the people should be smarter than machine. And then this is what we do, how to help that regarding the capability. We are doing a training and workshop, and also have a forum group discussion. During 2021 is actually FabLab GBBK invited Dwi Arsana to come in to our facility at FabLab GBBK and ask them like what do you guys need, like because we wanted to creating another Dwi Arsana. in a Fab Lab. And then this is our training, like a basic 3D printer, and robotic arm, 3D scanner, and also we are doing some competition regarding the reverse engineering. And based on the activity we had at the Fab Lab JBBK, we wanted to create an ecosystem. There will be an activity collaboration between government, academic, and then industries to create the ecosystem what we need, what we wanted at Fab Lab JBBK regarding the Industry 4.0 development. And as for the conclusion that I wanted to say that Fab Lab JBBK is a place where technology innovation can be invented. And if you guys wanted to see what our facility look like, and then what our equipment, and then what a project, that you guys could visit us at President University Convention Center at Cikarang, Bekasi, and you could visit us to the website we had, fablabjbbk.com, and our Instagram at fablabjbbk. So this is all for me. Thank you for your time. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you, Mita. Thank you, Mita, for that incredible explanation on how to integrate Fab Labs with the industry. So now we're gonna move a little bit further away, and here we have Ande. So we're gonna go into Spain. We're gonna go back to Spain. So we went from Spain to Indonesia, back to Spain, and Ande is going to. So Ande is gonna explain us a little bit about Green Lab Granja, short story, how we turn 1 hectare of rural Spain dry land into a green lab. So welcome to the stage, Ande, and we're gonna tell us his. Welcome to the stage, Ande.
Morning, everyone. My name's Andy Gregson. That's my name. Those are two Instagram tags that we run at the moment. One is Green Lab, Green Lab.org, and Green Lab Granja. And if you want any of the hashtags, can you include this and take pictures for the session. As Nora said, I'm going to do like a short story of my activities in southern Spain over the past 3 years during COVID. Before I start, connects. Now, essentially, in 2000, and there's a backstory. In 2009, I founded Fab Lab London, which is a makerspace in the heart of the city in London. We had about 4,000 square feet of space to play with. I ran for around 6 years, so we put into hibernation at the end of 2017. And during that time, I started to realise that the Fab Lab model for us wasn't as focused as we wanted it to be. And so, no, we've got no slides. Okay. No. Try again. farm is essentially located in a place called Moclinejo, which is about 6 kilometers north of Rincon de la Victoria, and Rincon is approximately 40 kilometers east of Malaga Airport. We're well connected with buses, main routes on road, so we're very much accessible. And our kind of main goal was to create an off-grid project to demonstrate the best practice in agriculture, off-grid hydroponics, aquaculture, and growing with less water. Spain's designated a water scarcity zone by the UN. You can find us at greenlabgranja.eu, and we operate a Spanish NGO. For those of you who failed geography at school, this is Spain. That's at North Africa. We're located roughly where the arrow points down there. And in more detail, you see so Moclinejo is a tiny village here, roughly 1,200 population, so it's very small. They're very famous for the grapes, for the kind of Muscat grape, which is kind of a sweet wine. We're located in Axarquia, which is a kind of a big region in Malaga, and around 500 meters above sea level. So it gets cold in winter. You know, there's a notion that Spain's always sunny and warm. It isn't. We've had it down to 8 degrees and misty because we're in the clouds in the mountain. Why Spain? One of the biggest challenges we're facing is water and our access to clean, fresh water. Spain has been designated, I guess, almost like a desert, and 70% of the land is changing. We see in Andalusia, which is a big farming region in southern Spain, water has become a very scarce resource. There's a reservoir called Vinuela that services over 500,000 people. It's at 8%, and this is an extremely large 100-hectare site that's at 8% capacity. So water preservation and water usage, especially in the southern part of Andalusia, where they're farming aguacate, which is avocado, and mangoes require large amounts of water. It's becoming unsustainable. So they're switching to different crops, like pistachios, which is less water, there's more turnover. I guess some of our reasons were, the climate. It's sunny, it's warm, it's a great place to grow crops all year round. We're in the European Union. Judging by my accent, you can tell I'm not Spanish, I'm English. So when the UK left the European Union, it created massive challenges for us as a company to operate within across European borders. So having a Spanish NGO makes things easier. It has a robust political framework. It's close to Africa. Anything we develop that's water-based, we can port straight into North Africa. The network, we've got lots of professionals and colleagues in Spain that operate with us. The land's affordable, it's very cheap. We've got access to funding in European grants. We're part of a large Andalusian farming community. And of course, the paella, which is great. Okay. Our team is fairly tight at the moment in Spain. There's myself, there's Sol, who's currently here working with IDEP as part of the challenge group. Jose is our hydroponics. Eve looks at biodigesters and water sanitation. Rosa's education, and Joaquim's our technical lead. So we're quite a small team. Sol, Joaquim, Rosa, and Jose are Spanish nationals. Mi español es muy limitado, voy mejorando poquito a poquito. Yeah? So my Spanish is very limited, but it gets better day by day. Our kind of mission is very much around food materials, waste, and bio, spanning entrepreneurship, education, and public engagement. We're very much about building and empowering individuals in the local community in terms of skills, value creation, and new jobs or businesses, which is really important for the Spanish economy, given that there's a high rate of unemployment. And we look at things like sustainable practices, renewable energy, and the big one is nutrient recovery. I ran a workshop yesterday looking at how we take nutrients from urine and use it in hydroponics to grow lettuce. Okay? Awareness is a key thing about what we do. These are workshops we run that look at geodesic domes and how we build structures using really simple triangles and bits of wood and kits. Sol's also a chef, so she provides paella for the participants. So we have a kind of a food and an engagement aspect to our activities. Education and internships. Klaus is the guy with the brown woolly hat on. That's Haroon. That's Sebastian. That's Nick. There's a bit of a male-dominated thing going on here. But these are kind of internships and workshops that we run on a ad hoc basis to give people different skills in a kind of a rural environment. We focus on research and innovation in ag tech. So IBIDIA is a Spanish research institute. They look at blue water issues. This project here was building a toilet using a dome that took a feed from a urinal through a biofilter to grow lechuga, which is lettuce and chard. And this is something we're developing as a kind of prototype product for rollout into other parts of Spain, but also into places where water scarcity is an issue, predominantly Africa, because we're close to it. And we, I guess, building sparring environments. We love domes. This one here at the bottom is our office. That's office in progress, office before paint, and the interior. Domes are great structures to build. Yeah, they're relatively low cost. You can use recycled materials, and they create interesting spaces to operate within. We try to align everything we do to the SDGs, and so based on the projects we've developed for the past 2.5 years, we kind of cover a number of different bases. Our big one is around gender equality, in that half the team is female. So if we can get more people involved in this kind of sector, agriculture, it makes a huge difference. Okay, I've gone the meme way, how it started and how it's going. We're not in that messy state, but this is the kind of the back end of the story in terms of how we started and how our project developed. So in 2019, I bought a hectare site of land. Essentially, it's a ski slope. Okay, there's a 100-meter difference between the bottom and the top, and it's just like that. Okay, so the idea was to build a vegetable garden. We have 40 olive trees on the site, so we can produce our own olives. 11 terraces here, and roughly about 600 square meter greenhouse, office, dome, lab, garden, deposit, and possibly an office at the top. Maybe a 10-meter dome. That was our aspiration when we first started in 2019. This is just before COVID, okay? And I was an English national, English resident. And during that period of COVID, I became a Spanish resident in order to make this happen. So hopefully this video may play. Give me a sec. So if I go back to my drive, log it in. Before land. So this is how, nope. We started. This is how we started. Oh, it's not sound. It's okay. This is how we started. So it's literally a hectare of land on a ski slope, as you can see, going up to the top. And it's just full of olive trees and dead almendra, which is almond trees. And our job was to turn this space into a working lab. So we started from nothing. You know, there's no water, there's no power, there's no road into this space. Okay, so we started with literally a blank canvas. And that's the biggest challenge when you're building a space in a barren piece of land. You've got nothing to start with. You've got to bring everything to the game. Slides. And so, come on, load. Sorry, this is technology. My life's. So we started with extremely large diggers, huge 30, 40 ton diggers that started to carve out the land to create the terraces, the platforms, the spaces. This isn't working. Come on. No. No, I can just do this. It's easy. It's a lot easier. This is a copy. Da, 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 da. Where are we? Oh, come on. So using these things, we employed a local Spanish builder to basically develop the space as we wanted to. And so how we started off here, we had it a gate. And this is really simple stuff, yeah? Then we started off here, and we built a dome. Now you'll notice here, you've got what appears to be some kind of terrace. These are rocks that are roughly 1.2, 2 meters in size, about 1 to 2 tons a piece. This is 2.5 meter high wall made with solid rocks to protect the natural terrace. We built the Cathena, which is kitchen. Okay, this is all ground up, built from the ground. Concrete base, so we can provide food and access to participants who come to work in the lab. And you can't really see it from here, but you can see Morocco on a cold November morning from the kitchen. We started to build some workshops. These are 9 meters by 3.5 meters, mainly for germination purposes, to germinate crops and experiment with different growing methods. We have a dry compost toilet, Bagno Ecologico, which is ecological toilets. So recycling everything in the space is critical from our perspective. The waste goes into vermiculture, which is worm farm. This will go into a 2-year aging process, so we use this for vegetables at some point. And these are all built using local timber, so we're kind of supporting a local economy within in the whole process. We have a chill out space. So this faces south, and you can see the Mediterranean, and you're protected. And this is a group that came for a workshop in hydroponics. So we cater for all ages, from 9 to 90. And we have the facilities to provide, I guess, the audience with places to chill out and relax in the process. We spent a bit of money drilling a pozo, which is a well. So our well's 135 meters deep. This machine, when it happens, the ground shakes. Yeah, and this strange blue stuff is what's at 115 meters with the rock formation that comes out. You'll be familiar with this from Spain, yeah. So for us, it was important to put in place all the kind of core infrastructure in the lab. This happened over three years. So we're still developing it as a concept. And 2 weeks ago, our deposits arrived. So we have these 20,000 litre deposits at the top of the farm. Unfortunately, the truck couldn't drop the tank into place because of the overhead wires. So we had to use the Land Rover. I know it's not the most ecological car, but it was cheap and it moves things around easily. We had to push it into place using the Land Rover. And this will service all the terraces and all the low-lying areas of the project. At the moment, we're growing Carolina Reapers. They're all hot as chili. We have about 150 plants, and we sell these to the local community. We have a project around cocoa. So we're growing a non-native species in Andalusia. About 90 plants. Stoll, in the picture there, visited Dominican Republic to connect with the cocoa farmers. And we're starting to experiment in terms of how can we grow this in the first place to supplement a chocolate shortage in Europe, i.e. reducing food miles. Because a lot of this comes from Ghana or Dominican Republic. And the farmers are exploited in the process. So we're looking at can we grow cocoa locally in Andalusia. And we're doing this on a budget. All of this is privately funded. We're not funded by grants or whatever. This is a private enterprise. Money we raise through Fab Lab London and other commercial activities. So for me, it's to put back into the system and create really interesting spaces that have a kind of Fab Lab model to try and develop new ways of growing foods and recycling materials. Hydroponics, this stuff's basics. We're doing things like cucumbers, we've got lechuga, we've got tomatoes, lettuce. Hydroponics is soilless growing. We just use a nutrient to grow it. So we're trying different methods. And we kind of baseline stuff. We track and model different nutrients, different crops to see which grows the quickest. We also run courses to deliver this to the local community. Peaponics, you can figure out that one is. Basically, we've developed a system that takes urine for a biofilter, and we grow leafy greens. Yeah, there are some risks with this. We're trying to mitigate. We're trying to create a product that we can literally ship as a kind of open source kit that you can literally plug and play, and it works. I ran a course yesterday, and it was really interesting to see people from Fiji and some of the islands around there needing this kind of technology for their community. Coming soon, unlike Fab Lab London, where we had everything, because we had rich donors and we did some marketing, got free kit. 2022 for us is about an electronics workshop. We've got so much repurposed equipment from London we've brought to Spain. So we're looking at automation, sensors. We're going to install a 7-kilowatt solar array to power the entire lab. It'll also power the water pump, which is to send water from 135 meters down to surface, and from surface 150 meters. It's a large 3-phase water pump, but the offset is that we get an enormous solar array to power the entire farm. Irrigation in place. 2023, we're looking at a greenhouse. We've got a number of 3D printers. Aquaculture, which is where you basically mix fish with hydroponics to get fish nutrient to grow the leafy greens. Rainwater capture across the 1 hectare. You know, rainwater capture here, I don't think it happens on a great deal because it rains so often. But in Spain, if it rains, you need to catch it and store it. Really important. We'll kind of formalize more of our education program. And we're part of an EU bid, which we'll find out in February, to see whether we can roll green labs as a concept across Europe. That's a 50 million euro bid, which is quite a large chunk of money that will run for 4 years. So we're quite busy trying to develop this space from a dry piece of land into a working lab. Things we've learnt. I mean, everything takes twice as long as you expect it to do. That's a life rule, yeah, especially in southern Spain. We always keep supplier leverage. You know, you pay a builder all the money up front, they run off and they don't come back. We've seen that happen. Local knowledge is critical to build things. So think about networks locally you can use. Don't waste your time. You know, time's a finite resource. Build it once. Do it right first time. We built 3 toilets, and the last one was the one that we stuck with. Yeah, I wasted so much time building a toilet. Leverage your network. You know, beyond LinkedIn, look at the people here today. There's somebody who can help you in a project, without a doubt. And this is a classic, you know, fail fast. Time's your worst enemy. So make mistakes frequently and make them quickly, because then you can iterate a lot quicker. A lot of these learnings have come from my, I don't know, maybe 10 years working in the Fab network and developing Fab Lab London, which was an interesting project to start with. And it's kind of good. So it's growing out of it as an initiative. And hopefully we'll develop the Green Lab idea into contacts in Cambodia and Japan and maybe Colombia. So that's our main website for Green Lab as a kind of overall thing, which is based in London. We've just been given an underground car park in Wood Green, which is North London, 5,000 square feet to move to an underground aquaculture, marine, materials-based space for free, where to find the money. The Granja.eu is the farm website. That's my email address, and that's Sol, my co-founder. That's it. I hope it was interesting. And if you want to catch up, let me know. I'm around the next few days. I'm working on a challenge as well. So I'll be in the ADET Foundation is the one doing the well project. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Andy. And with that, we will finish some of the short talk presentations of this morning. We invite you back there to get some coffee and power your energies for the next panel. So we'll be right back in 5 minutes. Thank you.
When my head's always on and the memory fades, and the past don't remember me. When my hands don't play strings the same way, I know you will still love me the same. Honey, so it could never grow. Oh, it's evergreen. Baby, your smiles forever in my memory. I'm thinking about how in mysterious way. Maybe it's all part of the plan. Just keep on making the same mistakes, hoping that you'll understand. But now, take me to stars. Place your head on your pillow. Maybe we found love right where we place your head on my pillow. Thinking out loud, maybe we found love where we are. Maybe we found love and we found love right where.
Sherry is going to explain some little details of the conference coming up in the next few days. So,
Everybody say good morning. That's pretty good. One more time. Yes, excellent. Good morning to you. I see a lot of you were dancing last night out here to that pretty cool vibe. I hope it was fun. I didn't make it. I was asleep. I have a few announcements and wanted to go over the schedule. So reminder, this is where you find the schedule and it's up to date. Today we have a panel. We have a panel on innovation, and Rico is going to lead that panel, to moderate that panel. Lunch, then we have our hands-on workshops in the as well as parallel talks here. And I wanted to bring to your attention, I think this is at 5 o'clock. Yeah, so from 2 till 6, there will be papers, academic papers presented this afternoon, and then we will do a highlights at 7, is it 6 or 7? 7 o'clock. At 7 o'clock we'll do highlights from the research papers, and that will happen here in the Rice Field. And then at 8 o'clock tonight we have another, we have these great musicians coming, that Gato curated. So that's what's happening today and this evening. Be sure to catch the research papers and come back and enjoy the music again. And then I just wanted to bring up tomorrow. Tomorrow is an open day. It's kind of, we're calling it the Makerverse, but it's similar to a Maker Fair. And we'll have talks all day and workshops all day, as you can see. And then I think 27 maker exhibitions, and this is youth, a lot of youth. So it would be really great if you guys could come and show your support and just take a cruise through and see what the young people here are doing. So that's tomorrow, and I think it starts at 9 o'clock, right? Is that right, Zaleha? It starts at 10. Okay, all right. And it's an all-day affair. And just a reminder that this is a festival, and so we're going to have a lot of fun these next few nights. The Gato Latex is the person that curated all the music for us, and tonight we'll be featuring Tretiak, Walter, and Kier. And then tomorrow night it will be San Gondes, Disco Kid 909, and Frizzy O. So please, and then there's Saturday night when we're going to have our party from 5 o'clock till the cows come home, so to speak. And there will be a whole bunch of other really wonderful artists that will be performing. So that's that part. Now, I would really like to talk about, I'm going to invite up Andrea Bailey from Chevron. This year we decided, rather than a STEM award, what we would do is a fellowship. What we really want to do is celebrate the educators, the STEM educators in the network. And so I'm going to invite you up, my friend, Andrea, to talk a little bit. We've had a partnership around STEM education for quite a long time, and so I'm going to let Andrea here tell you a little bit about it.
Great. Thanks, Sherry. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. So in 2004, Chevron made a $10 million commitment to advance knowledge and opportunities around STEM and digital fabrication. And we did that by partnering with the Fab Foundation and by investing in Fab Labs across the US where we have operations. We've invested in 16 Fab Labs, and out of those 16 Fab Labs, we've benefited, we've had direct beneficiaries, over 66,000 direct beneficiaries and over 37,000 indirect beneficiaries as part of our education outreach and programming. We've had some really good success with our Fab Labs, and Chevron had an initiative not only to hire more women into STEM careers at our own company, but we were intentional about designing our Fab Lab programs to engage more girls. And most of out of all of our, well, collectively, our Chevron Fab Labs, we have about 50 to 70% female participation in our labs, which is awesome. We've worked really hard to do that. We've also, I'm going to just give you some stats really quick. We've trained 2,240 teachers, and over 12,000 parent and community members have been trained as part of our education outreach. And we really wanted the parents to be able to support our students in the Fab Labs and the work that they were doing as well. We do a lot of, support a lot of K through 12 education in our Fab Labs, and so we're really proud of that. And then in 2020, continuing our partnership with the Fab Foundation, we recommitted another $1.8 million as an effort to advance our racial and social equity initiative, and to work with our historically Black colleges and universities, also known as HBCUs. We wanted to be sure that we would provide STEM opportunities for our youth, and so we are investing in Fab Labs at historically Black colleges and universities. We are proud today to announce that our first HBCU labs will launch in Q1 2023, and those labs are Fort Valley State University, and they're here today, and Florida A&M University. And so we're really glad to have that partnership. And that would bring our Fab Lab total to 18. So Chevron's really proud of our partnership with Fab Foundation. And on behalf of Chevron, I want to say thank you to Fab Foundation, but I personally want to say thank you to Sherry. Sherry's been a true visionary, and as you all know, and really the champion and support person behind all of this. And I've worked with her since the beginning, since we first started our partnership at Chevron. I think I've actually been the longest. I was the first lab, yeah. So really just want to say thank you for the partnership, and we love you.
Thank you so much. That's so nice. Andrea is now in Monterey Bay, and so she has yet another lab in Monterey Bay. So it's wonderful. What we did with this year was, rather than to give an award for a great lesson or that somebody had done, we thought we would celebrate the educator and connect the educator to other parts of the network that are doing really good STEM work. And then, so we designed this such that we selected 2 Fab educators, and they're going to they get a $10,000 honorarium, and they get to go to 2 Fab Labs in the world of their choice, and learn from those Fab Labs what they're doing in STEM that is inclusive, that is involves digital fabrication and STEM education. And so those are all expenses paid, trips. And what in return we're asking them to do is to create some lessons for the Scopes platform, as well as to help disseminate this information across the network of what they've learned in terms of STEM education from others, and what new things that they can make with these with the labs that they're working with. And so it's an experiment. It's a year long, and we're super psyched about it. These were our wonderful judges. So we got 50 applications, which was really exciting. That's like more than we've ever been able to get before. So there was a lot of interest, and we judged them on things like is there real STEM learning in here? Is there real inclusivity? Is there real digital fabrication? How do you integrate them? Is it fun? We asked all those kinds of questions, and these were our judges. Andrea Fields, who was the very first, she was in the very first Fab Lab in a high school, and she's now an engineer and an educator. Brent Richardson, he formerly ran the Houston Fab Lab, and he's now teaching at the University of Oklahoma. Corinne Sloan, who is a faculty at California State University, Monterey Bay. She's amazing. And then also Karen Rawls, who's our senior social investment advisor at Chevron. She is really our very close partner in this. And so they came up with 2. And the first one is We congratulate Peter Virgin from the International School of Aruba, and this is his for his Art Toys project, and he's now going to choose a few labs and collaborate and make new lessons. So we'll hear from Peter here.
Hello everybody, this is Peter from Aruba. I am a STEM teacher here at the International School of Aruba, and I've been doing this job for more than 8 years already. I love making, I love teaching, and I love working with children. It's absolutely amazing, and unleashing their imagination is my main goal through my teaching. It's wonderful to see what kids can do and make if you spark their curiosity and creativity. Not only have I been busy working with kids, but I've been also doing volunteer work for the local Aruba maker scene as well. I have collaborated with other makers here on the island, like Branchie's Lab, to organize free workshops for Aruban teachers and show them the possibilities of STEM education. I am absolutely thrilled to be the next Fab STEM Fellow, and I'm eager to learn and collaborate with the other fellow and with the Fab Foundation, of course. And I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to this new year filled with STEM. See you soon.
Congratulations to Peter. And our next winner is Nathan Pritchett with Fab Lab Tulsa, and his project name is Green Power Racing. So let's hear from Nathan.
Hi everyone, my name is Nathan Pritchett with Fab Lab Tulsa. I'm so excited to be selected as a Chevron Fab Fellow. All I can say is wow. I'm really looking forward to sharing more about our Green Power Racing program. It's something new that we've been developing, and it teaches 2D design software, how to use the laser cutter and the vinyl cutter to design the body panels and graphics for the cars. Thank you. I can't wait to get started and to share what I've learned with the Fab Lab Network.
And again, we're just really proud and proud to be able to support these two on their journey, and happy to be awarding them each a $10,000 grant, and look forward to more work from them.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Okay, so next, this is one of my favorite things to do. Every year we like to do a small roundup of Fab Love. And so love it can be interpreted in many ways, but in the obvious ways, we're going to celebrate first Beatrice Sandini from Fab Brick Academy. She just had a baby back in, was it September, did you say? Yeah, no, maybe just, yeah, September, okay. And then we have Ada Gonzalez Vicente from Fab Lab Hornafjordur, and she had a little baby boy. I don't know if you know this person. I think you probably many of you know her. Anastasia and Greg are expecting. The baby's due in December, January, something like that. Super excited about that. And I don't know if you know Alicia Garmulowicz. Anyway, she is one of the leaders of Materiam, which is this wonderful, it's a wonderful organization that both helps create a library of biomaterials or more sustainable materials around the world, and then trying to now, scale that up and figure out how to use those materials, in digital fabrication. So this is her second child coming soon. And look what. So that's Tomas, of course, and his wonderful wife, Kira. They just had Noelia this summer, just a couple of months ago. So he birthed both Bali Fab Fest and a little Noelia. And so we're so excited. You may see her around in the next few days. And then I just wanted to do this. Yeah. Sorry, I get all emotional. So I just wanted to remind everybody that, please look at both sides of the street before you go across the street. We do have a doctor on staff. I mean, a doctor and a nurse that are here at the medical center. And please wear your mask if you're in tight, close quarters with a lot of people, because we don't want COVID. And oops. Oh, whoops. Sorry.
You were passing by, surrounded by all those butterflies. Suddenly they flew right in my heart. Must have looked like a living piece of art. Yeah. I know it could only be you. Watch your name up on my wall, circled in an arrow heart. Somehow you made me feel whole. I wouldn't have to be alone. No, I would never be alone. No, I would never be alone.
So thank you, Jaime Restrepo. Jaime is over here, and the rest of the team of production team for that wonderful summary of what we've been through this week. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. Thank you. I think you know where you are now, but just as a reminder, tomorrow all of the Makerverse sort of many of the talks and all of the exhibitions will be on the other side of the hub, not on this side. And just again, thank you to our amazing sponsors for helping us do this for the first time in 3 years, and we appreciate it so much. So with that, I think we would like to reset. We'll take a couple minutes to reset for our panel, okay, our innovation. So stay tuned.
with Skylab Workshop in Kamakura, Japan. It's a STEAM learning facility for young kids. I'm also a Fab Academy instructor at Fab Lab Kamakura. Anyway, very happy to be here. Thank you for joining this panel, this innovation panel. We have a group of amazing people. I've been trying to talk to them for the past couple of days, and my notebook's full of just wows and stars and things like that. You know, I like to put stars next to people when they say amazing things. So with that, can I invite you to come up on the stage and take a seat, any seat? So how this is going to work, I'll do a quick introduction of each of the panelists, and then I will ask some of the panelists or each of the panelists to give a short speech about what they do and how they're innovating in their respective fields. We'll follow that up with some panel discussion, and I will do my best to involve questions and answers from the audience as well. And so please don't be shy. If there's something that you really want to ask of any of the panelists and during the discussion and Q&A time, please raise your hand and I'll make sure to get to you. All right, so we'll start over with Magenta on the far side. I need to look at my notes, hold on a second. Magenta is with Supply Frame, Hackaday and Design Lab, Pasadena, California. And next to her is Oscar and Nanda from Copernic here in Indonesia. We have Gustav from Common Room, that's right. And then Eric Pan from Seed Studios. And lastly, Matje from Reginate, here to share with you his thoughts on next-gen investing. So with that, who wants to go first? Why don't I start with Magenta? Is that okay? All right, so I'll give you the mic and I'll get your...
Thank you. I've been asked today if I'm wearing scrubs or if I'm part of a cult, so I'm going to clear the air that I'm not a doctor or part of any cults. I'm just a manager of a design and fabrication facility in Pasadena, California. And I think I have a few too many slides, so I'm going to go through them pretty quickly so that we can get to the discussion. But has anyone heard of Hackaday? I think that's maybe the most popular of our entities with this group. Yeah, great. We have lots of Hackaday swag in the Fab Lab if you want to grab anything, some soldering kits and whatnot. And so Hackaday is owned by SupplyFrame. SupplyFrame makes software as a service tools for the electronics industry. Our main customers are companies like DigiKey, components manufacturers and distributors. DigiKey, Microchip, Texas Instruments, Avnet. They acquired Hackaday a little over 10 years ago and then built out Design Lab around 6 years ago. And I'm lucky to get to manage the space and our partnerships and our community. Hackaday is one of the largest open source hardware communities. And we also are the hosts of Hackaday Prize each year. I'm gonna get familiar with the remote here. Does the remote work or no? Okay, thanks. So a little bit about our space and our team. We're a small but mighty team. Of course, our parent company is a little bit bigger, but I manage the space with my colleagues Gio and Bruce, and we're a 4,900 square foot facility, roughly 400 square meters. And we have, we primarily support open source hardware product and project development. As I mentioned earlier, Hackaday Prize is one of our largest initiatives, and it's where we give a bunch of money away to open source hardware projects that are doing social good. So I'm actually going to ask you, sorry, to skip to the very end. I realize that's probably the most interesting slide, and then we can work backwards from there, or one before that. Awesome. So throughout the history of the Hackaday Prize, we've given over $1 million away to creators, engineers, designers, makers around the world from some of the countries listed on the left and beyond. And again, these are primarily projects focused on social good, so everything from assistive devices to environmental sensing equipment to climate disaster resilience kind of hardware hacks and projects. And so that's the main thing I want everyone to take away, that we're giving money away to these projects. And we do this thanks to our sponsors that are, again, the customers of SupplyFrame. And then we can just work backwards through the slideshow. Thanks. So we're a global community of designers, engineers, makers, and partners, of course. You can keep going. I'll just speed through them. We're a storyteller. You can go to the next one. And so this is how we are able to support these projects. We don't take any IP or put large rounds of investment, but we support through material stipends, our staff's expertise, use of the tools in the space, and then we just want to be able to tell interesting stories. And so we want to put together high quality editorial and video content around these stories, and we'll support our residents from anywhere from 2 to 6 months at a time. But then we also support all of the entrants to the Hackaday Prize, or finalists and winners of the Hackaday Prize, which can be entered from anywhere around the world online through hackaday.io. Again, our space operates through lecture series, conferences, panel events, workshops, and it's really important to us to provide a platform to showcase stories with a variety of people coming from a variety of backgrounds and non-traditional kind of engineering backgrounds as well. So everything from the self-taught maker turned engineer roboticist to these startup entrepreneurs and founders and PhD engineers and so on. And I don't want to take too much longer. So that's great. That about sums it up. And I'll pass it on. Thanks.
Right. Thank you, Rico. So that was quick. I'm going to try to keep it to 10 minutes. My name is Oscar. I'm the Senior Director at Copernic. I'm originally from Barcelona, but been living in Asia Pacific for 12 years already. So Copernic is an R&D lab for social and environmental issues. That's the clicker? Okay, perfect, thanks. This is our we started in 2010 and we are based in Bali. Actually, our head office is in Wood. And we're basically trying to find solutions for challenges faced by underserved and remote communities all around Indonesia, but also in other developing countries. And to do that, one of our main pillars of activities is what we call lean experimentation. So our work goes from the identification of unmet needs and the challenges for those communities we support, to the ideation, prototyping, and testing of potential solutions. And then we share the results of the most promising ones can be replicated by other organizations. On that mindset of sharing, we have two platforms that I would like to introduce today. The first one is on the challenges. So we call the BR for SDGs. So basically, this platform is compiling several challenges that we have received from our communities in a way that is providing a virtual reality where you can use your headset, your laptop, or your phone to go around and see several challenges all around several developing countries and organized by the Sustainable Development Goals. So I encourage you after the session to Google BR for SDGs Copernic, and you will be able to play around a bit. And basically, the main idea is to for our partners that are not able to travel to those very remote locations, they will be able to be in a more to see in a more immersive way what are the problems and understand those problems, so they can come up with a more tailored solutions for the local conditions. And the next platform I'd like to introduce is on the side of the solutions that we test. So this is called our solutions catalog, that also you could Google that and play a bit around. In this platform, we want to share the results of the experiments that we run. Basically, for each unmet need or challenge that we receive from the communities, we try several approaches or small-scale experiments, and then we organize them all in this platform, basically organized by SDGs, location, challenge, but also by effectiveness. We really believe that sharing which ones are more effective will provide a reference for other organizations to scale them up. But also those that are not really working or are not as effective will provide a reference for other partners to change them, or at least to not invest large sums of money on something that was proven not to be impactful enough. Right? Thank you. And on that, I'm going to share just 2 cases from that solutions catalog for you to understand a bit better what kind of projects we work in. The first one is the rubber tapping rain guards. Basically, we start always with the problem and not from what we think that could be a problem, but from what we receive from those communities, right? In this case, sorry, go back to the problem 1 sec. In this case, we're working with rubber farmers in Borneo, in Kalimantan, the Indonesian side of Borneo, and they were telling us that during they usually tap this kind of rubber tree, so they collect the latex that is coming out of the tree. And during the rainy season, they were experiencing a huge challenge in terms of reduced amount of produce that gets washed away because of the heavy rain. So our team came up with a very simple prototypes that could be a potential solution. It's just rain guards, as you can see here. And the idea was to bring locally available materials, very cheap materials, very simple to do, but in a way that the farmers themselves could be able to replicate them and build them on their own and scale it up. And once we have the solution, we wanted to test how effective it was. So on the next slide, we can see the design of the experiment, right? So we are trying always to get some data rather than saying that we believe it will work or not, but we are a kind of a data-driven organization. So in this case, we designed the experiment by dividing several trees into 3 groups and randomly select 25 trees for each group. The first one, what we call the control, is the traditional way, and then we wanted to compare the amount of latex collected from the traditional way versus our prototypes. And the next one, we can see the results of the experiment. So in this case, a very simple solution. We can see on the gray bar is the traditional way, and the 2 orange ones are the prototypes. So we were able to show with data how effective was this solution. In this case, was around 70% better in terms of produce for them, which translates in direct income and livelihoods improvement for those communities. So yes, this is one of the examples, and now we'll go for another one. This is called Getting Microbusinesses Online. Again, with the problem, this is in Cirebon, 4 hours from Jakarta by train, so in a remote location as well. And we're working there with the communities, and they told us that they're manufacturing this furniture made of rattan, and they're weaving that to create the furniture in a kind of household conditions, as you can see. And their issue was basically that they were selling to factories or to middlemen, and they were not getting much profit and therefore income out of that. So on the next one, in this case, we saw that maybe a new tool or a more effective process was not probably the right solution, as they were quite effective doing what they did. But a way to linking them with market was probably more impactful for them. So we set up an e-commerce platform or e-commerce store on an existing platform in Indonesia for them. We trained them on how to use the platform, how to take even simple photography, how to do bookkeeping. So the very basic stuff, they needed some support as it was a very remote location and they were not used to that. And also, again, we designed the experiment to see how to see the impact of this potential solution. And in this case, they kept selling to the intermediaries, but we wanted to compare that with the new store recently created in Tokopedia. And indicators that we were trying to assess were the number of products, profit, and profit margin per unit. So what we saw on the results of this experiment, on the next slide, please, we saw that they continue selling online, but in just a few weeks after setting up this online store, they were already selling a third of the number of products that they were selling offline, and that created almost the same total profit on those products, which translates into direct income for them, right? And with a much higher profit per unit. So yeah, this example is more about changing the way that they're selling rather than bringing a tool or a new technology, just leveraging the digital tools already existing in the market. So I think that's pretty much all. Sorry, it was a bit long, but I hope you get a better idea of what we do, and happy to answer more questions later. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, Oscar. And I'm just going to add on 2 more projects that we're currently working with the communities. My name is Nanda. I lead the Solutions Lab team at Copernic, and I'm from Aceh, Indonesia. So the next project that we are currently working on is the ergonomic weaving tool in Adonara and Lembata for women weavers. So as you might already know that weavers in Indonesia are mostly women, and they start doing weaving since a very young age. And currently these women weavers, they use traditional with a backstrap loom and in a sitting position, which is very, very uncomfortable for them. And in the long run, this has created back pain and also pain in the leg area. So as you can see here, this is one of the women weavers in Adonara. This is the traditional tool that they normally use in a sitting position like this. And as you can see, her posture is bended forward. And this is because they need to put tension when they pull and push the thread to create the woven fabric. And I don't think you can see here, but at the back, this is actually the backstrap loom. And because they start in a very young age, it creates like a really thick layer of skin, which is hurting for them. And with the sitting position as so, this creates also leg pain for the women weavers. So knowing this, Copernic, and together with a local social enterprise who works closely with the women weavers in Adonara and Lembata, we made this weaving prototype, slightly bigger than the traditional tool, but we try not, creating this without adjusting, the technique that they're actually using at the moment. Yeah. So what we in the added ergonomic feature was that to remove the tension control and the backstrap loom, it is replaced with a lever like this one, where the women weavers can just swing it rather than putting tension on their back. Then the tool was also elevated so that they can sit rather than sitting on the floor, and with a back where they can rest their back and to reduce the pain. And also in weaving, before doing the weaving, there's this warping process where they need to, yarn the loom. So the warping process can also be done while sitting down on the chair in one tool. So we tested this with the women weavers in Adonara and Lembata and found that the ergonomic weaving tool was just as easy to use as the traditional tool. So what does this means that they don't need to adjust too many things, so it's easier for them to use, and the adoption rate can be higher. Yes, and then with adding the ergonomic features, we found that the tool was able to improve their weaving experience, where they no longer feel the pain, especially on the back and also on their legs. And at the moment, because this was found beneficial by the women weavers, we are currently producing 10 more units to be shipped to Adonara and Lembata for the women weavers to use communal, because they weave together. Right. The next project that we are currently working in Bali is supporting smallholder coffee farmers here. Next. Yes. So basically, what the smallholder coffee farmers challenges are, they typically still do the traditional and manual farming method. So for instance, they still do traditional drying method, which is not efficient, especially when it rains. And then they rely so much on the chemical fertilizer, where we know it's going to lower the productivity and soil quality. And also, smallholder farmers, they rely too much, they depend too much on the middlemen, where, as we know, not all middlemen, apply fair trade practices to farmers. And then during COVID, many of youth that moved to the city came back to the village to unemployed, and then see there is an opportunity to coffee as a business opportunity. So knowing this, together with our local partners, we provided capacity building, which involved lots of trainings to farmers group and also youth. We also established a coffee innovation hub and trying to connect them to new markets. Yeah, so for the farmers group, we provided training on education and demonstration of sustainable agricultural practices, demonstration of farming practices, methods, and also introducing the economic and environmental benefits of coffee farming. With the youth group, it's much more concentrated in how to create a viable coffee business, promoting it using social media contents and marketing strategies for them. Yes, and then the second one is we try to establish a coffee, we call it a coffee innovation hub in Pajahan, in Tabanan, where this is a space for the coffee farmers and also for the youth, so that they can exchange information and also to meet with potential buyers rather than farmers going to the city to sell their beans. So here we provided nursery facility so that the farmers do not have to source it out of the village, because it's adding to cost. And then also we provided solar dryers so that they can do more effective drying. And then we also work together with the farmers to turn coffee waste to natural fertilizers. And I don't know if you can see there, the women farmers are starting to experiment in producing coffee jams, and other post-harvest processing activities such as pulping, sorting, hulling, and roasting can also be done in the Innovation Hub. Yes, and then lastly, we try to connect them with new markets so that there is an alternative of other buyers other than the middlemen that they depend so much on. So these are some of the buyers we try to connect, and these are in Bali. Rika. Yes, and we also thought that their active participations, like in expos and also events to promote their coffee products, are also important. So here you can see the head of the farmers group promoting their coffee products in some events here in Bali that happened last month. So here are the farmers group and also youth that we are currently working with, and we are constantly trying to find new buyers. If you are interested or know anyone who's interested in buying, please contact us. We'll be happy to connect you with these farmers. Thank you.
All right. Hi, my name is Gustav. I'm from Common Room. It's an open platform for art, culture, and ICT media based in Bandung. I'm going to share a bit of story of community network projects that we have been developed in some place in Indonesia in the past couple of years. So next, please. Yeah, as you probably know, since the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak, internet connections is already become basic need for everyone, not only for communications, but for public administrations, at health service, etc., etc. So in Indonesia, the digital divide challenges is still pretty much a real problems because of geographical context, cultural and traditional backgrounds, bandwidth costs, comparing to Java, outside Java is totally expensive. There are still many places in rural areas and remote places that are still not connected. Based on report, there are more than 12,000 villages that has not connected to the internet yet. So next. Like for example, in West Java alone, the most populated province in Indonesia, more than 42,000 students doesn't have any internet connections during the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak. So they cannot study, they cannot learn, they cannot access the knowledge. Loss education is quite high. So next. Apart from that, rural areas and remote places is also experiencing challenges in terms of climate change, widening gap in development process between urban and rural areas, population growth, including the impact of COVID-19 pandemic outbreak. Next. So this is what we are trying to develop in rural areas and remote places in Indonesia, community network projects that we try to provide a legal quote by quote, internet access, secure, affordable, and meaningful, in the sense that we want to see that internet can be improve people's life in rural areas and remote places, improve public services, education, health service, etc. And we have developed these principles of 5L. Internet infrastructure should be low-tech. It should be accessible in local context. It should be low energy, because some village, rural areas, remote places doesn't have any proper electric sources. It's supposed to be low maintenance because people need to find a way how to make it sustain. And we have low learning curve, which means people can learn how to build their own internet infrastructure. And one of the things is local support. They need support from local governments, local communities, leaders, and etc. So next. This is the prototype that we have been developed in West Java, in Ciptagelar indigenous community, in southern coastal areas, in Cilacap sub-district, also in southern coastal areas, where infrastructure internet is still very limited. Next. And then now we are expanding our outreach. Since 2020, we developed School of Community Networks, where we assist, teach, train people how to build, maintain, and utilize internet infrastructure for their own local needs. We develop projects in Aceh, West Kalimantan, West Sulawesi, Maluku, Jayapura, Mataredi in Central Sumba, North Lombok, Buleleng in Northern Bali. The last area that still have a blank spot in Bali, also in West Java. Interestingly, after we built local infrastructure, people started to want to learn more about internet, how they can use, like for example, a small fisherman community in Central Maluku, they want to learn more how to use IoT to track fish, for example, because it's possible to do that. Okay, next. So this is some documentations that we are, basically is one-on-one trainings. We work closely with local communities. Basically is not to teach a rocket science, because infrastructure is relatively easy. But most of challenges in Indonesia also deals with policy and regulations, because internet and communication sector is highly regulated. So we also advocate a policy right from national to village level, in order to see how we can provide more affordable and secure internet for the future. Thank you.
Good morning. So this is Eric from the studio and from China, and I just can't believe this is really happening. Like a few years ago, Thomas sent me a picture. I'm in Bali and I'm staying here, and I start to think about, okay, we should do something with Bali, with Indonesia. And then he sent me a picture of his surfing in the barrel wave. So I just booked my ticket to this one. And because of the COVID control, everything, a lot of uncertainty is happening, but I see the certainty here is we gather again for the Fab Fest. And we finally can make the international travel after 2 years. So I only have 3 slides. City Studio has been doing open source hardware from 2008. as a maker, we find all the means to support you makers. So we do all the way from open source hardware to agile manufacturing to solutions. So we did our best to trying to figure out what would be the next, what would be the venue we can create through such enormous innovations from everywhere. So I will just ignore the 13 years in between, but what happened is that we find out now it's more important not to build something to change the world, not to mass produce everything that everybody buys, but how can we use the latest technology from all over the world to resolve some problem locally and collectively? So we already see the other speakers share a lot of good potential and stories. And what we can do, what I see the studio can contribute is more from the hardware side, from the IoT side. So after many years, as of today, what we have been doing is more industrial grade sensors. So it turns out we are the sensor company. Because there is a barrier between the physical world and digital world, is how can you get a more real-time data from real world? If you are talking about how can we increase the efficiency, reduce the risk, or build the proofs. But it has been too difficult. Imagine you use an Arduino breadboard and to make some hardware, and then you need to deploy it out in the field because you are doing agriculture for 1 year at least. So you need to worry about the temperature changes. You need to worry about the UV nights of the sunshine. You need to worry about the rain, the storms, the lightnings, the herbicides. And then you need to transmit the data back, where usually there is no coverage. Like the 5L, there's much more L's in the world that we cannot do things comfortably like in our fab lab. So we see there's so many difficulties in between that killed so many good innovations. So the first thing we have done for the last 5 years, including the COVID period, is how can we make these innovations in the real field easier by building some open devices that people can redefine for their solution. Next picture, please. And we spent 14 years to realize that you guys are not my customer. You are more like my partner. In the beginning, we're trying to, okay, you guys need sensors, you guys need controllers, you need manufacturing services. We try to do our best to serve you. But in the end, I have many doubts these years. But in the end, it's a traditional industry. It's agriculture, environment, infrastructure, transportations, etc. The old problems is paying for all these innovations, no matter it's on the cost side or it's on the time and space manners. So a few years ago, we realized we should be more working with the makers. The real customer, I think for all these things we do together, is the older problems. How can we use new technology to create a new solution that can create a different value? And so this is what has been going on. This is our business model. We keep digesting the new technologies from silicons, from sensors, software, machine learning, etc., blockchain. We compile them into open source modules and devices. So after many years, it categorizes into 3 parts. One is smart sensors, like from Groove to all kinds of AI camera in the wild, and the IoT network. We are very much into LoRaWAN, because imagine you are in an island, which there are large surfing spots but no coverage. How are you going to build the connectivity? LoRa is a very improvised way, and it's quite open and democratic. Then we have the edge computing, because most of the time, if you want to deploy in the real field, you cannot expect everything is stable and you process everything on the cloud. You have to process locally. You should storage, should compute, and take actions where the data generates. So we have 3 categories like this. And we have Makerspace from 2012, and it's 10 years. It's been empty these days because you guys are not going there because COVID control. we have the maker space. It's like a base cap. So whoever wants to scale their stuff, they come to Shenzhen. We have the place to host you guys and to support. And now even if you don't come, just write us emails. Let's figure it out. And like I was saying, you guys are not my customer, because we should work together for the traditional industries. We are looking into a few industries, starting from agriculture. And I didn't realize it's so difficult. The cost, the environment, the durability, communication, everything is a terrible challenge. And the environment, we have more data and we have more means to fetch data to prove the changing of our environment, to adapt to all these changes. And the infrastructure, energy, these are some of the fields we are looking at. The final page, please. So whenever we look at the whole picture, I figure out what we are passionate about is something in the wild, something beyond the civilizations. And I have data for it. Is if you look at all the IoT scenarios you have been building around, it's usually in the cities, in your home, in your office. And it's just taking less than 1% of the planet Earth. If you look into the oceans, if you look at all the mountains as well as forests, if you take a plane, look out of your window, 99% of the world has no coverage. There's no road, there's no understandings of this continuous monitoring. So that's another frontier, I think, both for IoT and for us, is how can we use our know-hows, our technology to the real world, to the new frontier that we can bring digital means to these places. Because a lot of places are centralized. I don't think that Siemens will come into a small island in Bali just to resolve some local issues. They're global companies. But we have Fab Lab all over the world, to every age, to every corner of this world. And you are in the frontier to reach out to a very vast area that innovation can happen. There's so many things we can care about. The temperature, the soil moisture, the biodiversities, the carbon emissions, oceans, all the basic elements they are missing. But I think more important is that it's the people. We really bringing the technology to the local problems. So I spent quite some years trying to find out the dynamics, and today I see it's already happening just next to me. So people are already going into the local farms, trying to use the Fab Lab methodologies to create new means. So back to us, City Studio, what we want to do is to make your life easier by doing that. So if you haven't used our product, let us know. We will make it happen. And I'm very passionate about the things we can do to the wild, to the frontiers. And yeah, let's talk. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maciej. I actually happen to be here as a kind of what I call here a Bali coincidence. So we met with Thomas yesterday and we figured out we're so aligned that, I kind of joined this panel. So hello, everyone. Selamat pagi. I spent 20 years almost in investment industry. Was familiar with private equity industry, by the way? Not that many, okay. So yeah, so basically you buy a company, you make it better, you sell. So that's kind of more or less how the private equity business works. Very dull, not inspiring. But actually, before I kind of got into the investment industry, I wanted to be a biologist. And then I went to my high school and figured out, okay, biology is not that kind of setting me up for future. So I became a, investment banker and then private equity specialist. And but then I kind of started to figure out, okay, what I'm doing doesn't really make sense, yeah, because we're not taking the most of our brain capacity of people that we're surrounded with, and we're only creating a value in a more kind of financial meaning in a way, yeah. But then it struck me because how the private equity works, it doesn't, it only is based on a economic paradigm that was created around 200 to 250 years. And what it does basically, it assumes that there is a scarce resource, that we may need to make the most of the scarce resource, yeah? But then we're always limited to 100%, yeah? So let's say industrial revolution takes us to 60%, and then, the digital revolution takes us to 80%, but then we will always plateau, yeah? And then that basically as well brings the worst in people, yeah? So we started to think, and, with this whole Bali coincidence, I managed to meet a lot of amazing people here, and we figured out that much better inspiration to operate businesses is actually looking at nature, yeah, looking at natural ecosystems, because natural ecosystems has been around 550 million years, yeah, and when you look at the structure of the ecosystem, much resembles the business ecosystem, because what business does, it basically turns energy as well as ecosystem, like, transforms energy into different states, yes. So we figured out, okay, I mean, let's kind of like think how companies, and it's what you, Eric, said, yeah, I mean, not kind of like try to like maximize something or just kind of like maximize certain financial function, but build like make a energetic shift from taking to giving, yes, because when we do that, we actually don't see a customer, we don't see an employee, we just see kind of like actors in the same system that actually maximize a certain holistic value. Yeah, when you maximize a holistic value, you don't need to think about how much EBITDA or how much revenue you're going to make, because your financial success will be just an effect of this kind of like mindset change. Yeah, and another thing is that in this kind of like traditional paradigm, we don't see people as people. We see them as like like numbers on the sheet. Yeah, I mean what's your productivity? What's your revenue per employee, what's your like margin per employee, yeah? But that's just like, limiting ourselves to just, robots, yeah? And that kind of like makes us work in a robotic way, interact in a robotic way, like lead our lives in a robotic way. And, we figure out when you give people purpose, and that purpose is not simply like, okay, what's your EBITDA for the next quarter? We kind of like figure out that people can be actually much more productive, yeah? And that kind of like makes us think, okay, why don't we combine those two elements? So change the mindset of how companies are operated, and then bring the best in people, yeah? And the good thing is that, like the business community and the customers and consumers, I mean, they're waking up, because, they don't want to just kind of like, like buy and consume. I mean, and then, there is this rise of sustainability metrics, etc. Of course, it's not efficient yet, and it's not standardized, and it's not perfect, but at least, 1/3 of the global assets under management, which is $50 trillion, will be assets that are managed in a kind of like, at least sustainably certified way. So, it made us thinking, I mean, how we can combine all of those elements, and we managed to combine people that are from private equity universe, from sustainability universe, from human potential universe. We took data scientists and kind of like AI specialists, and we started to think, okay, what would be the strategy to like implement this, let's say, mindset or philosophical change, and see how we can do it profitably. Yeah? Because if you come to your board or your management or your investors and say, okay, I want to do good, and they would say, okay, how much money does it cost? Yeah. But, if you're able to show, what's the bridge between this mindset and the kind of like financial, basis, or the financial kind of realm, and you can show that actually it's much more profitable in the end. Yeah. Because like if you use the best of your resources, if you use the best of your ecosystem, if you make the most of your relationships with your suppliers that can help you produce a new product or tackle your problems in a much different way, from a different perspective. The most important thing as we can share as human beings is perspective, yeah? I mean, you can have a discussion for 15 minutes with another person, you can live their life, or you kind of have an essence of their life in just 15 minutes, yeah? So like using that will obviously take you to a better return, yeah? So we actually took 10,000 companies that are publicly listed, and we tried to look for correlations and, to see, I mean, are investors really interested to, like allocate value to sustainability or not? Or this is just, like the fuzzy tail over there, yeah? And it turned out that they are, and of course not in all sectors, but in oil and gas, in energy space, in food and agriculture, in food and apparel, and in durable goods, actually companies that are, much more sustainable, that employ this kind of like systemic thinking, that are caring about, what their people think and how to operate kind of like an ecosystem to help them flourish, they're actually much more profitable as well, yeah? So you can see companies like Neste Oil, for example, which is a Finnish oil and gas company, which is worth 4 times more on a multiple level than Shell, yeah? Or you can see, Ørsted, which is a Danish energy company, which is worth like 14 times plus EBITDA more than their peer group. Yeah. So what we kind of like figured out to do, we're gonna build a fund, which we're building now, that will invest alongside this philosophy, and we'll just show, okay, you just make more money. Yeah. And this is how we think we can kind of like enact a systemic change, because if you're able to show, and you can see on all of the kind of like scientific revolution in the history, that there is a system that is actually better than the system that is here right now, I mean, people gradually will transition to this new system. Yeah, like from my industry, investing in technology in 2000, it was not so fashionable. Yeah, I mean, you could meet someone in the investment space and say, okay, let's talk about digital advertising, and they would like laugh you out of the room. Yeah. Now, of course, I mean, 70 to 80% of funds have some sort of a digital agenda, because why? I mean, you just make more money. Yeah. So of course, it's still money thinking, nature thinking. I mean, it doesn't, connect, but it does. Yeah. So what we're kind of like trying to do, we want to use the common denominator, which is kind of like financial success. And we want to show the bridge how to do it in a much more sustainable way, but like looking at nature as our inspiration. Yeah, I mean, it was here much longer than all of us, and our ancestors and our ancestors' ancestors. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we're doing here. And if you wanna have a discussion, you have questions, I can share somehow our discoveries and our mindset. But thank you.
Okay, maybe just another round of applause for all of the amazing presentations you just heard, please. Okay, so I was thrown into this role a couple of days ago, and so I apologize if it doesn't go so well, but I met with all these amazing people in the past couple of days, and I sat down with them trying to understand how I might put together an intelligent discussion panel, and I have not found a solution, because as you see behind me are people with multiple approaches and are tackling very, very different issues. But I think as I listen to their presentation and think about all of the things they've done, a couple of things have come to my mind, and maybe you may feel the same. As technology people, people who most of us in the audience are Fab Lab associated in one way or another, it's easy for us to be always constantly enamored and allured by our labs, the machines, the technology, IoT, AI, all of the buzzwords, so on and so forth. But clearly, technology is not the solution, right? It's people who are the solution, and more importantly, people who take ideas and implement it in the real world. And the amazing people behind me are examples, great examples of such things. So if I can recap a little bit, Magenta is providing service to our world by providing both an enabling space and funding for potential new innovators in the world, right? And then we have Copernic, who are addressing local issues directly by engaging with stakeholders in a like hands-on, face-to-face way, not in some sort of abstract or remote manner. Gustav is taking that, I think, a little bit further by saying that it's okay to provide solutions, but in order for it to be maintained and sustained, it needs to be done in a way that the end beneficiaries able to understand and utilize it, not just simply drop an AI system into their neighborhood and wish them luck, walk away, right? And Eric and I had a long conversation yesterday. He's got all the technology. I see him as like the Howard Stark on the stage here. He's got all the tech, but he doesn't know where to use it. And so his opportunity or his mission at this Fab Fest is to look for partners, right? So he found, I think, 6, 7 people here on stage. And for those of you who may be interested in utilizing the best technology, by the way, that sensor that you showed, that has a high resolution AI camera and LoRa and WAN transmission capability. Any guesses as to how much that device costs from the audience? Just yell it out. What do you think? US dollars. What's that? $1,000? Any? $2,000? Do we have 3,000? I'm just kidding. Anybody else with an idea? $200? 100? 50. Okay, so the winner is, it's closer to $80, I think. $80. So he's now created a device that is, oh, and he didn't mention that device runs on a 10-year battery. So you don't have to charge it. It's waterproof. It can send its data to how many kilometers, I don't even know, but right. So Howard Stark here has some great tech that you can apply to whatever project you're working on. And then lastly, Maciej. Oh my God, his name is hard for me and I don't know why, but so Maciej and I come from the same background. I am also a recovering capitalist and being a former investment management guy, and I felt the same way. I think I resonate with what he says because it became this numbers game for me without any understanding of what impact I was actually making. I was a fund manager for a pension fund, but I never saw the people to whom my activities were benefiting. And I think Maciej is saying here that we need to take a different approach towards viewing how finance interacts with not only the investors, but the end beneficiaries, the companies, the efforts that you see here on stage. So with that, I'm going to start off with a question. This panel is called Innovation. Don't make me cry. No, okay. All right. So, is that okay? Yeah. Okay. If I may, innovation was the name of this panel, and many of us know what we think it means, and it's been used a lot, mostly by tech companies to promote some sense of importance to what they're doing. But I see innovation very differently, and I see many examples of it here on stage. And as a first question to each one of my panelists, I would like to hear from them what they think innovation means. Magenta, please.
Oh, I have to start. Yeah, I think that's a great question. To us, actually, a lot of times we look at the projects that are submitted through Hackaday.io for the different initiatives that we're running, and the ones that end up standing out and impressing the judges and get awarded eventually for being innovative, I think are actually the ones that are the simplest in a lot of ways. So I think that's maybe a common from kind of what you're saying. Sometimes it's people get distracted by like something sparkly, the most expensive tech or something like this, and how it's being applied to do some big change the world idea. But a lot of times things that can be really simple and a new way of combining easily accessible resources that's what I think innovation is when you're reinventing how it can be applied to solve a challenge, ideally locally that you're addressing. So that'll be my answer.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you. So I guess we align with what you just mentioned. For us at Copernic, we link innovation with 2 main concepts. The first one would be finding what works. So it resonates with that. So try to apply new methods or new ways or tools or approaches to really solve the issues that we see with the communities. Right. And that sometimes will mean very high tech with sensors and a lot of crazy innovative tools, and sometimes will be very low tech, very simple, affordable device, and sometimes we'll be just using what is already existing or what is being proven to work in other countries and bring it to Indonesia or to other particular local contexts. And that's why we are so thrilled to be here, and we can bring the challenges that we continuously receive from the communities with these great minds and innovators with these crazy tools that we love, and the funding to make that all possible. So. And the second concept is what the lean experimentation, what we were discussing earlier. Right? So we apply innovation in a way that any tool or device or approach, we want to test it in real life and in a lean way. So that means that we'll test it with a small sample size in a short period of time and in a very cost-effective way, so we don't need to deploy a lot of resources to solutions that might not be impactful. So those two components are really linked to our way or the way that we try to innovate and to bring solutions to the communities. Thank you.
I guess just adding, because pretty similar to what Oscar just said. So in the spirit of finding what works, I guess innovation can be anything pretty much, from reintroducing the local wisdom, of the community that we work with, to new approaches, flow method that can really that is easy for the communities that we serve to understand and for them to adopt as well. Yes.
It's not an easy questions, but for me, innovation is something that can spark people's mind and imaginations, allowing people to see realities in different ways, finding solutions based on their own local context and needs. And I think innovation is what makes us survive and able to deal with daily situations from time to time.
Yeah, I think my answer is too simple. Is innovation is you use a different method to resolve an existing problem. And innovation itself has no value unless you resolve real issues. Yeah, maybe it's just my own opinion.
Yeah, hello. So to me, innovation is generally creating something new. So it's not a question of what this new thing is. I think it's just materialization of our unique weirdness and our unique perspective that we can have as human beings or teams of human beings. I think more important that the particular innovation per se is creating a value system that will be able to efficiently direct innovation. So to select which innovation should be spent, on which we should spend time on and which we shouldn't spend time on. So I think that, and in this sense, our role is basically being a bit of a gardener, yeah? So to create the best potential environment and conditions. So this innovation grows and actually tackles the biggest problems that we face, the most acute problems that we face as humanity, yeah? So I think it's not necessarily like we may have brilliant ideas. We wake up one day in the morning, take a shower and say, oh, I just invented something. But the question is where we actually take action. It's kind of driven by what we think is important as human beings. Yes, and I think it's about realizing that collectively as humanity, and then again for the entire ecosystem to create the right conditions for this innovation to actually have effect.
Great, great, fantastic. Can I borrow the other? All right, so great. And, I do a whole lot of YouTubing when I want to learn something and when I want to be inspired. And a high school student once asked or has commented, and he shares me, oh, yesterday I saw this YouTube video, that guy was really great. Did you read this book? This is really good. And it occurred to me that we spend too much time watching other people do things. So as we just segue from what Maciej just said, that at some point we need to take action, and that's the scary part. We've got the tools, we've got the labs, we've got the ideas, but how do we go from ideation to implementation? So that's my next question to you. It's like, you're all doing fantastic things, but there must have been an origin moment, an origin story. Perhaps you could share how you got started, what challenges you faced, and what motivates you to persist in what you do. Can I start with you, Gustav? Would that be all right?
Well, maybe I will start with the disclaimer. My background is more like I studied art, fine arts. So my driving force is always an artistic reason. When we did the community network projects, I see it as an art projects. And the first thing that we do is to listen to the people, what they need, to validate our assumption, to validate our perceptions, etc., etc. And the first thing that we realize that the most important thing when you start a project or certain actions that dealing with certain challenges is the politics of listening. Because after you listen, then you will have a story that can give you power to move the world. And sometimes the big mistake that we have learned from such project like this in community network infrastructure development in Indonesia is that when you do projects in rural areas and remote places, you somehow have something inside your mind that I came from the city, educated background, etc., etc. I can change the world, bring some new ideas to local communities, and it doesn't work. So somehow it started to work when you listen more of the story, and then you will find a way to solve the solutions. So the politics of listening is, I think, the essential recipe for the whole actions.
Can you take over?
Sure. That's very interesting, Pak Gustav, and I think in many ways we do experience the same. So maybe I'll start with lessons learned from from previous projects. When we find one solution works in a particular community, we shouldn't assume immediately that this solution can actually work in other community, even though the characteristics of the social structure and the demography are similar. So what I mean by this, when learning from this, then when we start a new project similar to this previous one, is that we really need to, again, listen to the beneficiaries that we serve, but most importantly is to include them in the very beginning of the project planning. So rather than treating them as beneficiary, we'd like to treat them as part of our project team members. In that way, they really own the solution and can better adopt the solution in the long run, even after the project ends.
Okay, thank you. How about the next question then? When I think about business, when I think about finance, and then I think about the kinds of grassroots solutions that we see on stage, it's not so easy for me to find the compatibility there. In fact, they seem to be polar opposites in many respects. And yet Magenta and representing many of the manufacturers has found a way to make that work. And similarly, Maciej on his own with Reginate is making that work as well. So perhaps some comments from you on how to bridge that kind of money side to the solution maker side.
So I think that, kind of what I mentioned in my presentation about, I mean, I'm pretty lucky to be in a position where I get to connect the people with money that want to support innovative and impactful projects with all of the individuals and institutions and organizations that are doing that work. And I think part of it is corporate responsibility, kind of corporate social responsibility angle for sure. But again, they want to be able to show, I think companies want to be able to show that they're at the edge of innovation, of interesting new ideas, of collaboration, and supporting, prototyping, rapid prototyping, and in a world that's connected. And so they want to be able to show their products or their systems, their software being used in those projects. And so that's one like very direct way that we're able to, I guess, justify that connection. And yeah, I think that's what it is for us. Yeah.
I mean, I take a bit different approach. So first, I and we as an organization start with the why. Yeah, I mean, why this innovation? Why this company? Why it can exist? I mean, it's like if somebody says, okay, there's like gazillion-dollar market, and I'm gonna untap this market, and gonna be all rich and drinking like palm drinks. That's not how you want to approach business. So the first thing is the purpose, why something is being created, because for us it kind of like helps to see that the founders like resonate with this purpose. Then it's easier for them to find the right people, and once they do that, then this kind of like success comes forward. I think another thing is, so that's kind of like where you should start, and then after you find your why, then you kind of like figure out how. And the how is, I think it's pretty much different or where you are in the kind of like value chain. If your ability, and we're basically focused on finding companies that are able to be a center of the ecosystem. Yeah, I mean, in a way, kind of like connect all of the elements of the ecosystem, because as such, we can see that, our, like limited resources still, people, time, and capital, we can kind of like have the biggest effect, yes, because we kind of like tap into a power node that kind of like can address 360 degrees. But when you design something that is kind of like somewhere else in the value chain, let's say it's a kind of like enabler for a certain product being created or being created more sustainably, etc. I think a good way is either to cooperate with institutions that are called corporate venture capital, so like big institutions that are successful in their home turf. They basically created like financial arms that basically finance initiatives that basically help them to be better, or generally team up with someone that will be effectively your customer or your partner in developing this company. So in a way, it all depends on kind of like first of all, you should always have a why. If you don't, write your first news release that will say, that your discovery is that and that. That's first. Second is kind of like, like look at your idea from a kind of like, 2 steps back, because a lot of examples that I saw is that people work like 2, 3, 5 years on a project and says, wow, this is a great product. I mean, everybody should buy it. But then they kind of like don't understand, the wider spectrum of how this product, service, or solution is kind of like put in this entire system. Yeah. So I think probably a good example here to look is how, for example, Apple is doing this. So they kind of like don't look at the product. Okay, this is iPhone. It's so great. No, you should buy it. But they then kind of like see this entire journey and this entire kind of like ecosystem, how this product should work. And I think that if you think about innovation, that might be a good inspiration.
Fantastic. Okay. I've warmed up our panelists with answering questions and hope just to make sure none of you are sleeping. Let's open this up to the audience as well. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. And I'm going to also put it to the panelists if you have questions for each other. So, because many of you just met for the first time today, feel free to ask questions of each other as well. And let's get some discussion going. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name's Andrew from Internet of Production. I've worked with Eric and Magenta before, so good to see you again. Thanks for all your presentations. Many of you have talked about making and money in some way, whether it's investments or whether it's prizes or whether it's connecting makers to markets, helping people even sort of, grow new businesses and things like that. What do you think makers need to be better at when it comes to money? Because often we're so busy with the technology. you know, that what are the things that we need to be doing if we're trying to, say, be more investment ready, or even to manage a prize fund? Where can makers be better at money?
Yeah, I can take it. So first of all, money is just a kind of like token of value. Yeah, I mean, when Phoenicians kind of like figured out what it is, then it was just like, okay, I'm not gonna give you a cow or a chicken. I'm gonna give you like this piece that's kind of like money. Yeah. So I think money, you know, it shouldn't be focus. Yeah, the value should be focused, because if you're able to bring value, this value will be kind of like denominated in the dollar, euro, yen, or whatever. Yeah. So I think that's the first thing. But second thing is, again, think how this kind of like business can be sustainable, because, you know, I mean, if you create something, it needs to be able, you need to pay, you know, salaries to your workers. You need to be able to finance the, you know, distribution kind of network, etc., etc. So it's rather to think how your business can be resilient. Yeah, it can be resilient only if your solution can find a way to realize this value and then exchange to something that you later exchange to pay up your cost. Yeah, so I think it's more kind of like thinking about how this entire system should work and sustain itself, rather than looking at the money per se. Yeah, because I mean, I can tell you that some of the venture capital firms will, like, you know, tell you, okay, show me the McKinsey report that says that your product kind of works. Yeah, but some of the venture capital firms, you know, if there is already a McKinsey report on this, I don't want to look at this. Yeah, so it's rather kind of like thinking, you know, what's the value that you provide, which would be like by far number one, because then you can figure out how to like make it more efficient. But then the second thing would be, at some point, you need to become resilient and self-sustaining. Yeah, so I think these are the two like areas where I would like focus.
Yeah, I think I will following that. Andrew has pointed out a very key question to the whole maker community. I think about 2015 was like a very hot moment. If I feel I can innovate, I can do something, I can like make hardware change the world, get investment. And we ourselves has been seeing so many failures after that of the startups, and the maker movement has becoming like people start to doubt. I can innovate, I can do so many things. Then what? Because the too many energies was like technology centric. We have something we can use, then we do something different. But for what kind of purposes? This is like the missing part. I think after these years, like people to rethink some. Like you keep on going with this thing, because I think you have much more like clear view of what the value is. Then money is just the supply chain. It's like supply, like blood vein. You keep it going, you keep the cash flow going. So I think there should be safer ways rather than investment, due to respect. Is whenever you're doing a service, a system integration, or it's a product, you should get the money from customers instead of like pledge for other trends, to follow other people's like wave of topics. I think everybody has its unique like positioning, and you look at what you're good at and create the value. Slower, faster, it does not really matter, but keep it going. Then you have the cash flow, you create more value, it's scalable, the investment come in. But I think we see too many companies, the hardware startups trying to, okay, I need to make this big, loud. And then it's a lot of waste of energy. We should have been doing something more meaningful. I think it's very much back to the topic of this event. I see the good signs. We talk more about regenerative projects. We talk about like SDG. We talk about the really valuable things. So because Maker itself or Fab Lab itself is on the other side of consumerism, we have to create something to our value. Yeah, I can continue for 1 hour, so I will skip that.
Yeah, I think the three things that makers can do better are documentation, networking, and benchmarking. And I think that, of course, it kind of depends on the community we're talking about, because some maker communities I think are very solid with documentation, but lack kind of they bury the lead in a way. So maybe it's really thorough documentation for reproducing or for how it was made or where the concept came from, but not, again, that impact side of things, or why does it matter? What's the point? Really putting that, at the top of the documentation if you're trying to get money for it. Networking is kind of like networking helps everything. So, and one of the speakers before us on a presentation earlier mentioned that as well. It's huge. Meeting folks like us and folks in the audience who can work together to help bring light to certain innovations and projects that deserve more attention and funding. And the benchmarking, again, goes back to like the values. So work smarter, not harder. Look at what's already out there, what's in your area, what has super thorough documentation, and how are you building off of that? Especially I'm, coming from the perspective of the open source hardware side of things. So there's a lot of redundancy in what's being put out there. But how can you make it really add value to the ecosystem, and how is it building off of the power of open source? Is you can scale it and build off of what's already out there, but don't just copy and repeat, because that's not gonna change anything or make it more interesting.
Thank you. So my 2 cents on that question, probably from the perspective of the remote communities or the last mile or bottom of the pyramid communities that we work with, it'll be more on the in relation to money, right? So many times we visit communities like the middle of Papua 4 hours by car in their roads to reach there, and we find a very expensive equipment there, totally abandoned, right? So, and we ask, how come this very expensive tool is not being used? And it turns out that they need some maintenance money, and they need some income to be generated enough to keep the spare parts that are even more expensive because they are very remote. So being poor is very expensive. So you need to ship everything there. So it costs double or triple of what it will cost in Jakarta, for example. So maybe one thing that is important for those communities, in particular for makers to be better at, including ourselves, is to have take always into consideration that sustainability in terms of low costs and low maintenance. So I guess the initial cost of any tool, we found that is important, but it's a lot more important that they can continue operating those tools, equipment, solutions when we are not there anymore. Right? So we could find some crowdfunding, some grants, some money for to develop an initial tool and bring it there. But after a few months or a year or a couple of years at most, we will go back, and they need to be able to maintain that with a pretty low amount of money or with the money that is generated by the tool, machine, or solution. Yeah. Thank you.
I think as makers, we are in a business of meaning making and value creations somehow. And after working with many farmers, traditional farmers, communities, and smallholder fishermen, I see that actually maker culture have its deep rooted in these traditional communities. They already have the culture of making things to solve their daily life. So it's not merely about businesses, but also to solve problems and daily challenges.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Aristarco. I come from Puebla. I would like you to ask, in this thing of scaling these innovations, we are trying to, we were always focused on making a startup, look for the customer, look for money, and but suddenly we have these creative people that like to make, and then you take them out of there and you make them to be paying taxes, being the legal, and looking for customers and supply chain, and people drop that in 2 months. I mean, it's so boring for people like us, no? And I would like to know your opinion on instead of making the maker and startup, if we could look for other associations for people in order to build the venture. Now, to people, I mean, there are people for everything. There are people that like accounting, for example, or legal. There are people for everything. And, you know, to build this venture, instead of making the maker a startup, to build a startup and then to look for capital or with people that like all these activities.
Sure. I think I have some ideas for Aristotle's question. So, because I was an engineer, I was the people are talking about, and I have to pick up all the boards of like accounting, investment, legal, sales, marketing. It's boring, but I have to do it. But I think whenever we are not talking about a scalable startup that you need to make products for millions of people. So there's a different way. I think it's very much like a Fab Lab. And we see that a lot in the Web3 world as well. It's a DAO, it's a DAO, decentralized autonomous working groups. And yesterday, I think on the Fab City work group, people have been talking about that as well. I think we can use a new like a mechanism to build up layer to isolate who really can create new things and who can bring that to the like a demand and who can like do the finance part. So I think it's not necessary to be one company. It's like a united, decentralized, but people follow some common protocols to work together.
Yeah, I can add a bit to this. I think that your kind of premise comes from the fact that the educational system of the kind of like call it modern world is about like learning everybody like read, write, and count, yeah, and that basically then everybody should be kind of like sliced in the same kind of like format, yeah. But I think that if you want to create something, you kind of like want to have this why, which gives you a purpose and the gravity center, but then like have the canvas as far as possible, so have people with diverse abilities, yes, and for sure, there needs to be a creative part, but also needs to be like an operating and a kind of like supporting part, yeah. So either you create this on the go within your company, but also you can, for example, operate within an accelerator or a partner that basically provide this kind of like, let's say, repetitive functions. Yeah, for example, like one of the ideas is Y Combinators. Y Combinator, I mean, but there are like many other like organizations like this. Like later on in the fund, like Andres and Horowitz have this kind of like structure where they have like marketing people, finance people, account. So basically, you kind of like, of course, need to see like where you create biggest momentum, but at the same time, again, I mean, it was said, I think, at least 3 times here, you need to find a way to build the resilience of this, and it not only means that the business model needs to be resilient, but also people that kind of like need to have various abilities. So
thank you. So I might add a bit on how we do it or how we try to solve that issue. So as we are pretty much focused at Copernic on the early stages of the innovation funnel, from unmet needs to idea generation to prototype testing, but then the scaling up, we're not much involved, right? So to solve that problem, or trying, right, we're on the way, we created internally what we call the Next CEO program. Basically, our team members who fall in love with any experiment and want to take it further and scale it up, they are able to create their own social enterprise, and we provide internal support to that experiment to move forward and being scale up. So as you said, there are designers, makers, and so on, right? So our internal teams, it could be the communications team, the finance team, the experimentation team, they provide in-house support for at least 1 year until they are comfortable with all that boring stuff and they know how to pitch the idea, how to communicate, how to do the accounting, and so on. And after 1 year, they're kind of ready to go on their own as an independent social enterprise, like a Copernic sister company kind of thing. So it's working quite well. We started not so long ago. We got 2 already. One focused on menstrual products, another one focused on black soldier fly for animal protein, and we got a 3rd one coming up soon. So I would say so far it's taking the boring part out of their shoulders for a bit, and they can focus more on what they like. So.
Okay, I just got a tap on the shoulder that we need to close this up, but there was one more question. But before we head over there, I'd like to add my 2 cents to your question as well. There's a tendency for Fab Labs and Fab people to only hang with Fab people, right? So the way for you to get the accountants and the lawyers and the finance people interested in what you do, they need to understand what you do. So invite accountants, finance people, and lawyers to your lab to do projects, make them understand that there's real potential in digital fabrication and not just be an abstract idea that they can't understand, the same way that IoT can mean a million things to a million people. So invite non-Fab people into your labs would be a suggestion. Okay, last question.
Thank you. I feel really lucky to have the last question here. My name is Ginger, and my question is actually the openness to innovation. So we are all innovation people here, and we all, think of innovation as this positive thing, yay, future. But what about the people who are actually fear of innovation and actually want things to do in traditional ways? Have you encountered that, especially when you're implementing these kind of projects in rural area where like people are afraid of machines they've never seen before, how do you deal with that? And, what are the dynamics there?
Well, for us in Indonesia, we have quite a lot of indigenous community who still have their own values and perspective on daily realities. And I think we have to respect that, because most of our project, we always deal with consent, that technology adoption should be developed under mutual consent. So if there are some remote communities that are not comply or not really interested in your ideas, I think it's okay. And the other thing is internet and technology is not everything. That we see that people can deal with their own daily realities with their own ways and their own understanding. And I think that is okay with that. The only thing that we are trying to avoid is to see the world with one or a single technology as single solutions, because that can be also dangerous. Because we believe that what we need to protect is our index of diversity of solutions rather than one single solutions, because we actually learn from our history that single solutions can bring down our civilizations.
Yep. I'd like to add on that. Yes, to answer your question, yes, we face that challenge a lot. For some communities, if we come in like too strong and with the approach like, oh, technology is good, this solution is like the best, then that's when they feel like, oh, this is not for us, or this is too complicated, complex. So for us, we try to introduce in the local context and not trying to undermine their culture and try to adjust it with their daily life or daily activities, and maybe not using those jargon terms that scares them. If we introduce it in a way that, oh, this is something actually really simple, and for instance all the materials is available locally and actually it's really cheap, but slowly rather than introducing like in one go, then in that way they would receive it in a way where they see, oh, this is actually beneficial for us.
Yeah, like adding a bit to this, I think like innovative brain is like an oxymoron, yeah, because like from evolution perspective, it's there to kind of like keep us alive, which means you should repeat the same thing over and over again because it works, right? So, I mean, especially like in rural communities, it will be even more difficult. But I think what I can share, which I saw some like long time ago, but it actually abbreviates in terms of like communicating, because it's all about communication then. It's abbreviates to success, yeah, which kind of like maybe is easier to remember. So S for simple, so it needs to be simple, maybe like addressing certain like things that people know. Unexpected, so that you can like capture actually another functionality of the brain, which would be helpful here. Credible, concrete, and then emotional and story, which kind of like the two last are only possible if you really have a real purpose. Yeah, if you really have a real purpose, this purpose can be emotional, can be like it be turned into a story. Yeah, so simple, unexpected, concrete, credible, emotional story. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is we really need more communicators in the world. We all title ourselves sometimes engineers or artists or whatever, but I really hear someone say, I'm a communicator, and I think technologists as a communicator, or put that more like front and center, will really help change a lot of people's mindset too.
I think that's right. Yeah, lead with humanity rather than technology, right? Start the conversation by just saying hello. All right, unfortunately, I have to close this session with that last comment. And if I could just ask you to give one more ginormous round of applause for the amazing people on stage.
Before we closing our sessions, I have some books of story and documentations of what we did in Indonesia. So if you are interested to have the book, you can ask Reina in the corner. She will help you to give the book for free. Thank you.